Franklin County Board of County Commissioners is now in session for our regular meeting today. I haven't done this a lot in the past, but I want to take the opportunity this morning to thank county staff, more than just Mr. Marone, everybody that's involved in our agenda. There's a lot of work goes on here, and it's all possible by the work that's done by everybody that turns in their reports, does all the other things, working in conjunction. You know, we've had a lot of discussion about getting our employees to a level of pay that is least competitive in the marketplace. This is the reason why. They do work that sometimes we never even pay attention to because it's regular like clockwork. So I just want to thank county staff for their help preparing our agenda today. We have a lot of business, so let's get to it. If we would, let's stand and open in prayer. Our Father, we thank you today for this day that you have given to each and every one of us. Help us to be mindful that we're not promised a tomorrow, but we are living in this day. We ask you to help us, Lord, in our decision-making process. We ask you for wisdom today that we don't have, but we need, and we know that you can grant it. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first on the agenda is to be payment of county bills.
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Bold. Is that correct, Commissioner?
Yes, sir.
All right, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous. Now up next be payment of county bills.
You mean approval of minutes?
Oh, sorry. Glasses work, but they're not that great, sorry. Approval of minutes, and then these minutes that we're approving are from the regular meeting from 8/24/21, 9/7/21, and our budget hearing from 9/7/21.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish,
Second.
second by Commissioner Lockley for approval of minutes. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. Mr. Roan, we're to the part of the meeting for public comments, and I think we have one.
Yep,
for
and Mr. Graham is here
Okay.
in the audience, sir.
All right, Mr. Graham, if you would, please come forward, state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Bruce Graham.
Yes, sir.
I live in East Point, Commissioner. Commissioners, thank you for having me here. I appreciate it. I came here to address an issue that's on your agenda later on, and it's the airport again. Just further background, I am the FAA representative for safety for the Apalachicola Airport as well as the Carabel Airport. I conduct training on the second Saturday of every month in Apalachicola, and I do in Carabel on the third Saturday of every month. It's open to the public, and it's published on the FAA website for anyone who's interested. It's a critical issue that we all keep in mind. It not only affects someone in an airplane or the airport, but the rest of the county and the rest of the nation as well. You don't just fly over an airport. I'm a single and multi-engine commercial pilot, instrument rating, also a helicopter pilot. I'm also a drone pilot. I helped the high school set up their drone activities at the Apalachicola Regional Airport and made sure it was conducted in a safe manner. And that's a great thing. I spent 22 years in the Navy as an aviator. After that, I worked for several aviation companies. Textron, which owns Cessna and Bell Helicopter and Beechcraft, and also helicopter companies, Command Aerospace. I came here after I retired. This is only the second time, besides the funeral, I've worn a suit and a tie. But I thought it was important. Everything I do is volunteer work. I helped establish the Experimental Aircraft Association here in Apalachicola. We're a 503C charity, and we were in plans to work with the high school to help their STEM program and do Young Eagles flights, but that's been curtailed until COVID. Hopefully that'll work itself out very soon. So these are things that we have local members. There are 57 members in the chapter. It's all volunteer work that they do. We're trying to get an aircraft. Working with the FBO, a Ford Tri-Motor, to do flights, which is a great event, along with the Young Eagle flights to attract people to the neighborhood. At our EA meetings, we have people from Panama City that fly down or drive down. They come down from Tallahassee, from Akula. So we're attracting, and if they make the drive down here, they usually stay for lunch. Start at 10:30, over by noon 30, and they go right downtown. So these are some of the things we're trying to do. Now, in the sense of my participation today, the issue of airport management comes up. And one of the things that's critical is that whoever you decide on understands what needs to be done. Now, I'm not an overly religious person, but I have a Bible on my nightstand. I read it every night. But when I can't fall asleep, I read the regulations from the FAA. Okay? That really helps. If not, you can use it as a chalk for your airplane or your car. So, but this is just the part that pertains to pilots. The part that pertains to airport managers is even much more extensive. That's right, it's critical, and the point of my speech today is to make sure that you hire someone who's knowledgeable, who has experience, and is devoted to the job, because it's not a part-time job, it's a full-time job.
Right.
And it's critical for safety reasons that it's done correctly. I fly in and out of Apalachicola and Carabel, and it's important that we have a facility that will support tourism. The pilots who come know it's safe, that they're going to be handled fairly, that the prices are good, and that we understand what they could bring to the community. Not just in the tourism aspects of it, but the real estate aspect. The second question that people ask, even before the price, first question is how many bedrooms and how many baths. Second one is how far from the beach. Third one is there an airport hangar? Okay. I know specifically 5 instances in which they've delayed buying because there was no place to park their airplane. And this is serious money coming to the county.
Yes, sir.
So it's important.
Thank you, Mr. Bruce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Up next, Ms. Maxwell, Clerk of Courts.
Good morning. As you know, that September the 30th is the end of our fiscal year. So I just need for you all to set a special meeting on September the 30th so we can clean up the records and end the new year and make sure that all county bills are paid.
Okay, what would be an appropriate time so that it would allow staff to finish what they need to finish?
Usually we do it at 9 a.m. It takes about 15 minutes
Yeah.
roughly.
It's
So
not
is that
long.
long?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the 30th would be the last day of September?
Yes.
Okay.
And that way we can make sure all of the county bills will be paid
Okay.
by the end of the year.
We got to have a meeting, right?
Yeah, we got
We
to
have to
meet, that's what we're
approve.
talking
So,
about.
so what the clerk is asking you for to hold a
Yeah.
special
The
meeting?
bills that come
Yeah.
in after today.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
basically.
do it all.
Yes.
Yes.
So Clerk Maxwell, is your recommendation for 9 o'clock
Yes.
on the 30th?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And I guess can we get a motion to do that?
I'll make
So
a
moved.
motion.
Second.
We have a
Second.
motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Lockley and Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? So we'll have our final wrap-up year-end meeting at 9 o'clock on September 30th to pay the bills. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Clerk. All right. Up next, Mr. Howard Neighbors, Road and Bridge Superintendent.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Morning.
I hope all y'all well.
Yes, sir.
I got a couple of things. We've been dealing with all the rain still. A lot of flooding throughout the county, and I bet with a lot of people throughout the county. We got some flooding issues that we're trying to clean some ditches and clean pipes, try to get some water off, but there's a lot of places that we we can't do nothing. They got a lot of water in the yard, but they ain't got the ditches or nothing to drain, to the county ditches. So, they're working on it, and a lot of our roads and all are still, it's just a mess, and just 2 months, 3 months of rain is, but hoping it's supposed to clear out to where we can hope to get back to work, get some roads cut and, roads graded. And I got one more issue, that I had some from the sheriff's department, still got 2 employees that's out. And, I had some from the sheriff's department that wanted to donate time, so I really didn't know how that worked, so we talked to Aaron. And Aaron said I need to get up with the sheriff, Mr. AJ, and he said it was fine, but also had to have board approval on that before them to give.
So move, they can do it if that's what they wanna do for it.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Lockley to approve,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion before we vote?
That's just for
People that are wanting to volunteer their time to
Volunteer.
give to other county employees.
I want to amend my motion that and go for the whole county if they want to do that.
Okay. All right. Do you amend your second?
Yes.
Yes.
There is already a sick leave donation policy in place. I would recommend, as far as countywide, making sure that the others actually adhere to that policy. I mean, for one, the employee actually has to have exhausted all of other forms of leave time before they actually receive the donated leave. So
Right.
just to
Yeah.
put that out there.
Okay.
And wasn't there a customized sick leave relative to COVID that also is part of this conversation? There was additional sick leave consideration?
There was last year.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Is,
There was last
was the
year.
issue that it carries over in any way relative to the Delta issues today?
Mr. Burt, it was extended through December 31st, the 2 weeks that employees were entitled to if they had not already used it.
Okay.
However, this would just be a donation of regular
Yeah,
sick leave.
understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, all my motion is just for people who want to do it, but they got to go by what the rules say.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. Do you have anything else, Howard?
Thank you, Commissioners, on that. Yeah, the grass cutting and stuff, I know a lot of places rode up high, we got a lot of people calling, but we in East Point and Appalachia now, and hopefully by the end of the week, we should be in Carabel and Hart.
Okay. Well, Howard, I hope that y'all have be nice to have about a week here with no rain. Maybe we can
Yeah.
get caught up with some of it, because it's been every day. I told my wife the other day, I said, "You sure we didn't move to Puerto Rico? Because it's a rainforest down there." But anyway, thank you for all y'all do, Mr. Howard. Anyone of the commission have any questions or concerns for Mr. Howard while he's here? Thank you, Howard. And
Thank y'all.
keep up the good work and tell everybody thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, up next, Mr. Fonda Davis, Solid Waste Director.
Good morning, Commissioner. I have just one item I'd like to bring to you that come in late Friday, so I wasn't able to include it in my package, a report, I'm sorry. I have a letter from Waste Management that involves a contract that we have for disposal of solid waste. And what that letter is about is that it's time for the increase on the CPI. And that increase is 3.50%, which is additional 62% per ton to dispose of the solid waste at Spring Hill landfill in Jackson County. So it runs from $17.60, what they used to charge us, what they're charging now, and then it'll rise to $18.22 a ton. And that goes in effect October the 1st.
So what you're saying
And with
is
that-
it's going to change to around 62 cents a ton?
Yes, sir. It's,
Okay.
again, it's from, they charging us $17.60 to dispose of our waste right now to Spring Hill, and it's going to increase to $18.22, which is a 62-cent increase.
Okay.
All right, and also with that being said, the contract, we entered it with Waste Management in 2017, and it's good for 5 years. So next year will be up for renewal. We can go ahead on and start talking with them now, or if you prefer to just wait as time get closer. It's something to think about.
Okay. Attorney Shorter, can I ask you a
Yes, sir.
question? since we don't have this in front of us, I think this is built into that contract where they can ask for an additional 3.5% over time. Is that correct, or do you know?
Yes, sir. When Mr. Davis and I were negotiating the contract with Waste Management in 17, we were successful in limiting and putting a cap on the annual CPI adjustment that they were insisting upon. And so yes, they are contractually entitled to the CPI adjustment. In terms of the contract renewal, Mr. Davis and I have spoken about that. I asked him just to bring that to your attention this morning, that that's an issue that's pending about a year from now. It's not necessary for the board to make a decision on the renewal today. I mean, you certainly could, but this time next year, you will have the option of renewing that contract for an additional 5-year period, or going out to bid. So I think probably 6 months from now would be the time that you have to make a decision, but you could certainly make an earlier decision if you wanted to.
Okay. But we are in a position under the contract to be able to approve this increase, and we've, you know what I mean? Because
Yes.
it's built into the contract.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure of.
But they ain't, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
they don't have too many places to do that, do they?
No, they do not.
We almost on the loose enough.
Because now, Mr. Davis, this is where this is where all of our waste is winding up at, correct?
Class 1, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Right,
Household garbage.
right. And where's it located?
Spring Hill, Jackson County.
Yeah. So the answer, Commissioner Lockley, is yeah, there might be other places, but there might not be, they might be further away than what this one is.
Do our tipping fees offset this expense?
I think they do, with it only being 3.5%, because you're talking about 62 cents on a ton. I believe the last time we went on, off the top of my head, the last time we increased tipping fees, it definitely went up more than 62 cents. It was a pretty significant jump. Is my
That's a
recollection.
good question though from Commissioner Burt. The last time this come about, we did not increase tipping fees accordingly. So this will be the second time if no increases made on our end for its tipping fee. But yes, Commissioner John, we is running pretty close there.
Okay,
So yes.
all right.
Mr. Chairman, just to, I guess, give additional information to the question raised by Commissioner Lockley. Spring Hill is the primary drop-off site for Franklin County Class 1 household waste, but there's also a contractual provision that has a backup location if for some reason Spring Hill is not available either through regulatory or capacity issues. There is a backup site for Franklin County waste to be deposited.
And it's all a part of that same contract?
All in the same contract, yes, sir.
Right. Okay, so pleasure of the board.
So moved.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Lockley,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any more discussion?
Yeah, Fonda, if you will have Fonda to check the prices to make sure that we not going in the hole, do we need to go up, or is we all right?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Will do.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. Anyone else? Commissioners, do y'all have a question or concern for Mr. Davis while he's here? All right. Mr. Davis, thank you, and make sure and tell your staff that we say thank you.
Will do. Thank you all.
Yes, sir. All right, up next, Ms. Pam Burnell, Emergency Management Director.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I apologize for my voice. I've been sick since last Friday. I do not have COVID. I did the rapid testing. It's just my normal seasonal allergies. But we do not have any action items on the agenda today.
Okay. Any commissioners have any questions or concerns for Ms. Pam while she's here, Ms. Burnell? All right, Ms. Burnell, thank you. We appreciate it. Keep up the good work and tell your staff we said thank you. And Mr. Lovestrand's not here today, correct?
That's correct.
Mr. Rome?
I forward you the email.
Right.
He's in service day out in the field today.
Okay, so I guess if we have any questions or concerns, we can email him or contact him directly. All right, so up next will be Mr. Alan Pierce, our special project consultant. Mr. Pierce, you've had more titles in my 5 years here than I've ever had in my life.
Well, I don't know
Just
if
an
they're bad.
observation.
I will say, I give myself one more title of dinosaur. So they're not all extinct. One of them is standing in front of you right now. So gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this morning we're hopefully, well, not hopefully, we are taking another step forward in getting the East Point Channel dredged and 2 Mile Channel dredged. Last meeting, we signed a 6-page agreement from the Corps of Engineers explaining how they're going to spend the money. This morning, you're going to sign a 50-page agreement from the consortium explaining how we have to work to get the money. So the agreement from the consortium is much more detailed, but in summary, it does give us the authority to ask the money up front, which is what we plan to do because the Corps of Engineers wants their money up front. The conditions for getting the money out of the consortium there are many detailed conditions, but the 2 big ones are we have to have a complete set of plans from the Corps of Engineers, and we have to have permits from the Corps of Engineers. When we get those 2 items, then with a request for a specific amount of money for each channel, then we'll send that to the consortium, and they will then get the Gulf Council, which sits over in Mississippi, to fund the money. And then when we get the money, we will then electronically transfer it directly to the Corps of Engineers. So I say this to the clerk's office. I don't believe we'll actually see the money in our hand. It'll go from the consortium directly to the Corps of Engineers. But though I mentioned those 2 specific items, the plans and the permits, because just to verify what the community may have seen last couple days ago, the Corps of Engineers was in the East Point Channel. They had a boat with a flag, said the Corps of Engineers on the side of the boat, and they were doing a final analysis of the amount of material to be dredged out of the East Point Channel. So they are clearly working on the project. The project still will be, the extent that I've said before, and I'll say it again, it essentially is the length of the East Point Channel. I have used this demarcation, which is not quite accurate, going from the county-owned boat ramp on the west end. It actually goes a little beyond that, but I use that as a identifying point, all the way down to Barber's on the east end. That's the extent of the channel. The width and depth is whatever was originally designed. The spoil disposal area will be created by the county and created by the Corps of Engineers and maintained by the county. It'll be a 26-acre spoil disposal site behind the breakwater, as we have already agreed with the Appalachian Natural Estuarine Research Service. They will help build that breakwater with the vegetation to get it planted over a period of time. We hope it'll end up looking like 2 Mile Channel. For those who aren't aware, that the islands behind 2 Mile Channel are old spoil islands. They were never there to begin with. They were built and deposited spoil when they dug the 2 Mile Channel back in the 50s, and you see how well vegetated those channels are. So in a perfect world, we will have a nice vegetated area there to protect the East Point Harbor from storm events. And that'll take obviously a few years to have that developed, but that's the intent, is to have a stable barrier there, a natural barrier to help protect the channel, because last time all we had was a breakwater, and we all know the history of the East Point breakwater. It was built and then shortly thereafter it was filled in by hurricanes. So we're trying to build a bigger buffer to protect the East Point Harbor. That's one reason this 26-acre area is being constructed. So those things are still in process, but I just want to mention them as the reasons for some of the delay, and those 2 issues are what are required for us to submit to the consortium in order to get the money out of the consortium. And so if there are any questions about the project, I'll be glad to answer them, but at some point I need a motion from the board to authorize the chairman of the signature for the Gulf Consortium, which is our $5 million funding source. And it's capped at $5 million. If the projects go over $5 million, the county and the Corps are going to have to work out the details about how or what we'll do about an overrun. But right now the Corps does not expect the 2 projects in total to go over $5 million. And that's what this agreement is for, from the consortium, for $5 million.
So move with a question.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Lockley,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Commissioner Lockley, proceed.
Mr. Pierce, do you got any kind of timeline? Cause when people hear this, they're gonna be asking us.
Well, the Corps has always said that they wanted to wait till after the peak of hurricane season before they started the East Point Channel, so that they at least can forecast and hopefully not get in the situation we were in '85 where we dredged the channel and the hurricane came in. So they still expect to do it this, I'm going to say fall, winter, November, December is still the expected timeline. And they would do theoretically East Point first and then go to 2 Mile. I will tell you that the sequencing is controlled by the Corps of Engineers. I mean, there's going to be their dredge operator. But that's the plan we have right now, is to dredge East Point Channel first and move over to the 2 Mile Channel. And should be, I want to say, November, December.
So if somebody asks it to be safe for us to set by January?
It depends on how much you want to rely upon the Corps of Engineers schedule, sir. Because we are not in control of the schedule. But they understand our need and our desire. And I was on a conference call, the chairman was on the conference call just 2 days ago, emphasizing to the DEP that we need to get these channels dredged. This is important to the economy of the community. We need to get these channels dredged. So I think everybody is intending to work as fast as possible. I will tell you, Commissioner, last time you made a comment, and you were right, that you know, if we have to rely upon the Corps of Engineers, we may have to wait a long, long time, because these channels are not important to the Corps of Engineers. The Corps of Engineers have a federal mandate to maintain federal navigations, and these channels are local channels. And are they working on our behalf? Yes, they are. Are they the most important projects they have in their arsenal of things to be done? No, they're not. So you're right, Commissioner Lockley, that in future years, you know, we ought to look at pathways and mechanisms to do these on our own, but we don't have them available to us yet, so we are stuck with following the Corps at the schedule they set.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for clarifying, Mr. Pierce. I know I've gotten a lot of people that were concerned and wanted to know. There was some confusion about where it was going to begin and where it was going to end. So thank you for clarifying that it's going to be all the way west. I'm assuming you're saying Lombardi's?
Well, the demarcation I've used is Barbers, and I say Barbers Seafood because there is a huge mound of material out just past Barbers. And depending on the capacity of the spoil area and how much other material is in the channel, it may or may not get beyond Lombardi's. And Liberto's is just beyond Lombardi's, so I'm not sure how much further they're going to get.
I was talking Appalachia.
Quick question.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
which one were we talking about? Because she said Lombardi's, you said Barbers.
I'm
These two
talking
different
from
channels.
point A to point B.
Yeah.
I know we're talking Appalachia Channel and 2 Mile Channel and East Point Channel, but
Well,
The seafood landing part.
yes,
Yeah.
so I'm sorry, I was on the different channel. I apologize.
no pun intended.
Yes, there's that dinosaur coming in. All right. On the 2 Mile Channel. The 2 Mile Channel will be the entire length of the channel, which actually runs from the mouth of the Apalachicola River all the way along the waterfront of the city of Apalachicola, yes, to Lombardi's,
Okay.
and out the T.
And then continuing on towards East Point, all the way to Barber Seafood in East Point, correct?
On the East Point Channel, yes.
Yeah, and the thing that was told me a couple of times from the Corps, not from anybody else, was that what they're intending to do in East Point is the original length, width, and depth of that channel. So that should put to rest any fears people have that we're doing somehow half of the channel.
Right.
All I've heard from the Corps was we're doing what was originally there.
And I just wanted to clarify that for the public so that they would know what they're going to be dredging.
Yeah. And it'll be a smaller dredge that will do it faster. That's the only good news I have for using the Corps. They have a dredge contractor already on a contract. So I think both dredging operations are 6 weeks in length once they start. So not a long time to get it done, but just a question of when will they start.
Okay, any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you.
They need it, man.
Yes, sir.
Alan, thank you for your help
Yes, sir. Yeah.
on all this stuff. I know that it's not done yet, but this has been through several years. It's been a long process. Well, the last time East Point was done, I was still in high school. It was in '85. It's been a long process. We've had the permit. We haven't had the money. We haven't had the agreement from the Corps. You know, we've changed commissioners several times. The one constant in trying to get this project done has been Mr. Alan Pierce. So thank you.
I appreciate that, but it has been a lot of partners to help move this along, and it still is. This is a badly needed channel, and again, I wish that we had more influence of the Corps of Engineers and we could get them to do things, but the Corps of Engineers has buried presidents, and so burying a small county is no big deal to them. So we have to continue to work with them to get these projects done.
Thank you, Alan. Does anyone have any questions or concerns for Mr. Pierce while he's still presenting?
Well, I'll be back in a minute.
Oh, will you? Okay.
Both of your items out?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, the dinosaur kicked in again. I didn't know that's anything else. And actually, where is it?
Here, right on the right.
Okay, I'm sorry. So, yes, actually in the telephone conference that the chairman and I had with DEP and the Corps this last week, we do need an action by the board, and that is at the last minute, DEP has decided that the county needs to be a co-applicant on the East Point DEP permit for the East Point channel. And the reason is that since we are going to have a full disposal area that's going to be in sovereign waters, we're building it off bay bottom, there has to be an easement granted that, and the best way to assure the county is part of that process is, because after the Corps dredges the channel, it's the county's responsibility, is that we become co-applicant on the DEP permit. I actually see a benefit to that. One of the problems we've had in the past is that the Corps has been the applicant, and so the Corps negotiates all the terms on the permits, and then if we ever wanted to get the permit, the Corps has told me in the past, well, you know, go get your own permit. This is our permit. We've designed these channels using our expertise and our knowledge, and we're the signature on the permit. In this case, with the East Point channel, we're going to be the signature. We're going to be the co-signature. So it may give us some legal standing in the event we need to use this permit again, because the permit's going to have 5 years, you know, the permit is good for a number of years. So I just say that to you, that there might be a benefit. I'm sure Mr. Schuer, as an attorney, is going to say there's also always a liability when you agree to be an applicant. But the Corps and the DEP want us to be applicants on the East Point channel, and I have no objection to that. It moves the process forward, and they're requiring it anyway. So yes, I apologize. I need board action to sign the chairman's signature as a co-applicant with the Corps of Engineers. This is a modification of the application because the Corps has already been submitted it, but this is a modification to have us as co-applicants because we're responsible for maintaining the spoil area after it's built.
Okay.
So move.
All right. I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion?
Yeah, did we vote on the last?
I thought we did. Ms. Gay, did we vote on the last motion? Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes, sir, we did.
I apologize, Mr. Commissioner Locker, you haven't had me in present, so I talk so much, people forget what happens.
I got them COVID brains.
Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you. I will be back again for another
All
item.
right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Up next, TDC Administrator, Mr. John Solomon. Good morning.
Hey, John.
Morning, y'all.
Morning.
Sorry. This thing's on. TDC Administrator John Solomon. Appreciate everything the County Commission is doing. I wanted to go over my information items because they are pretty exciting on this month's report. Kind of alluded to it last month. The June collections of 2021 were $327,038.47. That's an increase of $43,303.71, or about 15% over June of 2020. But this is the highest collection for any 1 month in the history of the Franklin County TDC. Also, the total fiscal year collections as of June 30th has already surpassed the total 12 months collections from last fiscal year, which was already a record. Last year's fiscal year collections were $1,432,091, and 9 months collected this fiscal year has been $1,436,134, and this is all before the 1% additional tax takes effect in July reporting. So just wanted everybody, and especially the County Commission, to know that not only did we break the record for collections in 1 year, we did it in 9 months instead of 12. So I thought, I just wanted y'all to know, because that's the TDC team that we have put together that's working so hard to do this. Last thing is, myself and TDC Chairman Commissioner Jones attended the Visit Florida Governor's Conference on September 8th to the 10th, and we're proud to announce the TDC was awarded the Henry Award in Rural Marketing for our Forgotten Coast mobile app, and this is the top prize for the Flagler Awards, and this is the first time that the Franklin County has won a Henry Award from Visit Florida. So I wanted to share that with y'all, because again, that's the TDC team working hard. So
Good. Thank you, John. We really appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, congratulations on the win.
thank you.
I want to echo that congratulations. I am so proud of you and your staff and the quality that you guys have done. And of course, TDC is the face of our county, and this is such an honor, and I appreciate you guys very much.
Thank you, sir. Yes, it is a really big honor to compete with the competitors that we're competing with to walk away with a Henry, that's for sure.
Yeah, and look at the functional outcome we have, that app and how well it works and everything.
It
So bright
has,
and cheerful.
part of this increase is because of that app.
Yep,
I
I'll bet.
mean, you know, we brought more money into the county with taxes and TDC collections because of the things that the TDC did, including this app this past year, so.
That's great.
Thank you, John. I really appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, up next, Mr. Ted Muscel, Interim Airport Manager.
Good morning, Commissioners,
Morning.
and thank you for your support. It's an honor to serve you as your interim airport manager. I don't have any particular action items this morning. However, as noted, there are a lot of things in the mill. I will report that the electrical system for the EOC has been done. It was done yesterday. There are a few items to tidy up, but for the most part, it's finished. And also the sewer pump is taken care of yesterday also. And I would bring to your attention the lighting project. I had an email from John Collins this morning. They should be wrapping that lighting project up this week, pending weather, of course, and equipment breakdowns. So,
Okay. Mr. Ted, what about the building you were referring to the last couple of times? I guess it's inside of a hangar where there was some problem with the breaker panel or some kind of switch.
that is the sewer pump that we
Oh,
were
it is?
speaking
Okay.
of, yes.
All right.
The resolution is to set a power pole beside the station, which has been done.
Okay.
And it'll be on its own, so we don't have to worry any tenant about getting inside the building to reset the circuit breaker.
Okay. All right. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Ted while he's here?
I do.
Okay.
I think we both, Aaron and I might both have. Let me refer to Ted. Ted, your item on number one.
Yes.
The second week, where I keep seeing that you said you're proceeding with the RFP for the obstruction clearance. Tell me what you mean by proceeding.
It's really in the engineering hands, John Collins, and everything is being done through him right at the moment.
Okay, because I want to be clear to the board and the public that until we actually get the grant approved by this Board of County Commissioners, we can't send out any RFPs or anything like that. So I just want to be careful with the wording. I don't want FDOT to see, oh, so they did some work without us getting the grant, then they won't pay us for the project.
Nothing's being done yet
Yeah.
in that respect, yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're clear about that. And
Yes.
I think the thing that Aaron might want to address is that, so we figure out this, Commissioner Bolt at the last meeting was talking about the issue with the hangar payment. Well, we kind of figure out what it was. Someone had told in some way, informed FDOT that the FBO was collecting all of our hangar rents. That is a big mistake. That is not the case. Actually, Erin is going to clarify that. It's an item on her report. She could tell you where it is and what page it's on.
And you addressed it as well, haven't you, in your report, I thought?
I don't think so, Commissioner. I'll go double check, but I
Okay.
think it was.
Or maybe
Yeah, it was Aaron's report to explain what actually is going on and where FDOT had a misunderstanding of what's actually
Okay.
going on. So
Okay.
we had a long talk with Quentin, but she'll
Okay,
refer
we'll
to
talk
that.
about that. Thank you.
Commissioners, I'd like to go ahead and read item E on my report. An email was sent to Ted Mosteller on September 8th, 2021 in regards to revenues earned at the Apalachicola Regional Airport. The email stated that the FDOT had the understanding that all airport revenues were being paid directly to the FBO Centric Aviation, and that FDOT could not approve funds for future T-hangar construction or the fuel farm if revenues were not going to the airport. Upon receiving a copy of this email from Mr. Mosteller, I called and also sent a lengthy email to Quentin Williams, the aviation program manager, with supporting documentation to correct the misunderstanding, as that is not the case. The county has small T-hangars located at the airport, which were included as part of the $2,500 per month FBO lease agreement. In the same arrangement that was in place with previous fixed base operators, AIATC and Crystal Air, the FBO manages the leases, tenants, and payments for the small T-hangars. The T-hangars were constructed utilizing private funds that were borrowed and repaid by Bill Ruick of AIATC, and possibly some combination of funding from the state. The T-hangars being part of the FBO agreement allows for Franklin County to retain a high-quality FBO at the airport. The FBO is also responsible for purchasing and supplying all fuel at the airport, and in turn remits 5% of the gross fuel sales as fuel sale commission to the county's airport fund. All other hangar rental revenues earned by the airport are paid directly to the Franklin County Airport Fund. Attached to the email sent to FDOT was a copy of all other county lease agreements in place at this time for airport property and revenue totals. During my tenure with Franklin County, I remember 2 large hangar construction projects that were completed with FDOT funds: the airport corporate hangar and the airport paint hangar. Both of those hangars are occupied by tenants who remit their payments directly to the county and are subsequently deposited to the county airport fund. In the next fiscal year, it is estimated that the airport fund will receive approximately $31,210 in airport fuel sale commissions from the FBO, approximately $81,140 in hangar rent, and $180,000 in site rent. Franklin County understands the importance of maintaining the sustainability of the Apalachicola Regional Airport and actively works to enhance the operating revenues of the airport. At this time, all active leases have been submitted to FDOT for review, and at this time, we have not heard back yet from Quentin Williams.
We have not heard back from him.
Not yet.
Okay. Let's really be sure we push that, so he's real clear on that,
Oh, yes.
because we want that money to keep flowing.
And another item on that is that, I mean, Ted said there's a waiting list and people that want T-hangars, and which is well, but by the same token, we have people out there that are renting hangars that are not storing airplanes and what. So in my opinion, based on past history, what we know is we build a hangar, we had such a hard time finding a tenant. What we need to do is clear out the people that are not using it for airport reasons, airplanes, whatever, and let's fill those hangars up first, and then we could approach FDOT about getting the new hangars. And Quentin said on the phone, he said if there's a problem, all we have to do is restructure the wording of the agreement, and they'll fund it. So
Good.
that's not a big deal. The deal is, but I think what we need to do is deal with what we have first, and then move on to building some new T-hangars.
And yes to everything. I know that FDOT really expects those hangars to have airplanes in them and
Yes,
nothing
sir.
else.
Not
So,
not
as long as
storage
we're-
for like a storage.
That's right, not storing other
Yes.
things, that's right. So if we're pressing on in that direction, that'll make FDOT happy.
Happy, yes, sir.
That's the hope, anyway.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, anyone else have any questions or concerns for Mr. Ted while he's here? Thank you, Mr. Ted.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, up next, Ms. Tracy Busby, American Rescue Plan Consultant.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you just fine. Proceed, Ms. Tracy.
Thank you. This morning, we're here to talk about the American Rescue Plan, and since the last report, nothing has really changed because the final report is not out yet. I was on a call a week and a half ago, and they're saying that the report should be out by November 1st, but they kind of keep pushing that date. So currently, the use of funds is still the same as what it was for the interim plan, and that is supporting public health expenditures, addressing any negative economic impacts from the public health emergency, which is like your revenue loss, providing premium pay for essential workers, and then investing in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. We started 2 weeks ago meeting as a committee, kind of the same as we did during the CARES, and just kind of talking through issues of, different ideas of what might, the county might want to go after. And it was kind of decided, like as the committee, that we're going to kind of see what that final rule says, because like as I said the last time, it's kind of the same thing they did with CARES. And so, they sent out rules for CARES, and then halfway into it, they changed it. They lessened a lot of it. So, but again, as Michael and I were talking about, it's totally what the board would like to do. And remember, you do have till 2024 to spend these funds. So you do have time. But again, if there's projects that fit into those categories, we can start looking into it, or we can sit back and wait to see what that final rule says. They do say it's going to be out before the end of the year, and then kind of evaluate what is available to do.
And the reason I asked Commissioner Tracy to speak this morning, because I'm sure, like me, you've seen in the news a lot of other neighboring counties and cities, the plans that they're having for their money and what they're stating. Sometimes if you listen closely, they're saying what they intend to do, not actually what they're doing. So I want to make sure there's a clear message out there, commissioners, that we should try our best to wait until the rules come in to actually have a final decision of how we spend it. That's not to say that we should not plan or take inquiries from anyone that wants to discuss. The sheriff and Tracy have talked. He has some things he'd like Tracy to look at. She's working on that, to see if that's been answered already through the Q&A site that they have. But I just wanted to make sure the commissioners are understanding that we are in fact meeting every week, working towards this goal. But we kind of like to wait until the final rules are out, so we don't spend money on something that we have to pay back.
Right. Yeah, that's true, and that's a valid point. I will say this, just from the fact of serving on the East Point Water Board, $2 million would not hardly touch as much water and sewer stuff as you think it would.
Yeah.
It would just scratch the surface, especially when you look at countywide different needs that are present. However, the amount of money we're looking at getting in total could really accomplish something for broadband infrastructure in this county.
Maybe.
Walton County, which is a lot larger than we are, they did their contract with a company, and it recently went through for $3.5 million to do all the broadband infrastructure in their county, all of it. Then they were able to get money from DEO to help reimburse them for some of that cost. I think they got a $1 million award from the state. So it might be something where we're getting broadband infrastructure could be critical for a small community like ours. It is everywhere, but if COVID taught us anything, I had kids at home trying to do schoolwork, and teachers are trying to teach over Zoom, and all the different things we've all collectively went through in the last year and a half. Broadband infrastructure is just as important as the roads we drive on. It really is. So that's where I would lean to, and I just wanted to state that today.
Mr. Chairman, I know the rules change. Hey, Tracy, this is Commissioner Ward, District 5. I know the rules are changing constantly. And I know there was a time, I know broadband's been a big topic. Was there stormwater drainage in this project initially and not anymore? Or did I misread something, Ms. Busby?
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. So when I said invest in water, sewer, and broadband, the actual definition, quote unquote, of that is making improvements to clean drinking water, support vital wastewater, and stormwater infrastructure. So that's all in the water, sewer, and broadband.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
It seems to me as we begin to think about this rather potential avalanche of new money, we really ought to be thinking about our homework about what matters the very most and focus on one target item and be sure that we give all the justification and focus and concentration on that one item to make it the fully successful idea that it could be.
That's a valid point, Commissioner. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, while we're talking about stormwater, You know, we really need to remember what's going on with this. What's the name of the street over here, Mike, that's closed down when you come down off the bridge?
Leslie?
There's a stormwater issue there.
Leslie Street,
That's
yeah.
undermined that road. I'm not opposed to actually looking at that project and trying to help get something done with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Probably the only way it's gonna
I
happen.
know it's, yeah, that and it's a city of Appalachia problem, but it's all our problem.
Yep.
People coming from the west trying to visit our courthouse, you know, limiting the access to the courthouse. I mean, if stormwater is part of that, I'm not saying we should pay for the total bill out of the CARES Act, but, you know, could we use some dollars to leverage other monies? I noticed, coming up this morning, they have done something with the street here.
Yes, with Forbes, yes.
But the other road, which is the main drive for the employees and visitors alike, I mean, is that something that we could look at once these rules are brought down?
Okay.
To try to assist the city of Appalachia to getting these roads fixed around this courthouse?
All right, so Tracy, what I'll do, I'll reach out to Travis and maybe the three of us could talk soon about that. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. And actually, I do, I assist Apalachicola on their hurricane. And so I do know that Leslie Street has been an issue, and that is something FEMA, it did not fall under the PA claim. So Leslie Street is an issue, and I think that was a great, you know, suggestion by the commissioner to maybe do a partnership of getting that street fixed, because I do know it's a problem, and honestly, I think it's only getting worse. It's not going to get better on its own.
Okay, sounds good.
Just something to think about.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, for sure. Go ahead, sir.
Well, Commissioner Parrish said, like he said, they fixed that thing out there. I think they owe us some money. So we paid them some money to pump out that hole right there. And the other day when I looked in it, that was their pipe busted.
Oh yeah.
That was their main pipe. That hole there. So whatever we paid, we need to be reimbursed. Then we'll start helping them.
Okay.
But I think make a motion, we go back and get us money. And we, you know, they charged us for what? Pumping out that manhole,
Yeah,
whatever.
they didn't charge. We paid the contractor, and we paid the contractors directly from the counties. So it would be where they should have done it. But I could, Commissioner, I'll just have a discussion with Travis, and I'll let you know what he says, and we'll go from there. Then I'll tell you if we need a motion for some more firm action on that.
Then to get up, we don't run no pipes.
Okay.
Ms. Busby, I have a question, Commissioner Ricky Jones.
Yes, sir.
In this American Rescue Plan, the dollars that are being sent, are they going solely to the county, or municipalities getting their own share of funds from the American Rescue Plan?
The municipalities are also getting their own share funds.
Okay, that's what I'm.
So they have a separate pot of money.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know that.
Yes,
That's
sir.
why I asked. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Every municipality and every county got direct funds.
Okay.
Now, the cities did not get it directly from Treasury. Their money went to the states, and then the state is distributing to the cities, and that's under the 50,000. There's the 50,000, 250, all those levels. But I do know with the smaller cities that their money is coming through the state, and then they have a contract with the state, similar to how you last year had a county with the state of Florida for your CARES, and then this year it came directly from Treasury.
Sounds like fun. Thank you, Ms.
Yes, sir.
Tracy.
You know what?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
This is the messed up situation I ever seen. I mean, COVID been out here 2 or 3 years. They had the same problem last year. They telling you gonna get this, you gonna get that. And here it is, the year about over, and they don't have no rules. Them rules should have been there when they made the announcement that they gonna give some money. It don't make no sense how them people climbing up there.
Well,
They need to get their stuff together.
Commissioner Lockley, what it does is it really does affect the smaller counties
Yeah.
that don't have the surplus of funds to say, okay, we'll worry about getting the money when we get the money, but we have the money, we'll go ahead and do what they're saying we can do, and we'll just use that to reimburse ourselves for what we've done. We don't have that availability, so that does make a difference. Does anyone else on the commission have any questions or concerns for Ms. Busby this morning? Ms. Tracy, thank you for being here today, and thank you for your help on this, these funds
Thank you,
that we're
sir.
trying to do. Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right, up next, Miss Betty Webb, representing the East Point Civic Association.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
We hear you just fine, Miss Betty. Go ahead. Good morning.
The video on my end is frozen on you guys, so I hope it's working okay from my end.
Yes.
First of all, I want to tell you I'm here on, as the chairman stated, I am here on behalf of the East Point Civic Association. First of all, I'd like to say I'm excited to hear the progress on the East Point Channel dredging. That's some great news to be able to share with the group. And then the reason I'm actually here today is the East Point Group is interested in applying for a highway beautification project. We have received our authorization letter to apply. What I need from the commission this morning is to approve the resolution for the authorization to apply for this grant. We are going to focus on the gateways, the signage of the gateways into East Point, as well as we're going to do some smaller planning at the intersection of Patton Drive and Highway 98 to kind of soften that area. So those are our main focus for this grant, and that's what I'm here for today, is to ask authorization to apply on behalf of the East Point Civic Association.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Lockley,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous, Miss Betty.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Is that it?
That's it.
Hey,
Y'all have a great day.
Hey,
Hold
Mrs. Webb, if you would hang around for a second, I just want to bring up one more thing that kind of applies to the Civic Association. At a previous meeting,
Okay.
the board authorized the East Point, I'm sorry, Commissioners, item C, page 11 of my report. I apologize. At a previous meeting, the board authorized the East Point Civic Association to apply for USDA Rural Business Development Grant for the completion of the East Point Waterfront Feasibility Study. Since the county is the applicant on the grant, the board has authorized the chairman to sign necessary documents as part of the application, and the county was recently notified of the award of the funds. Today, USDA is requesting the county to complete, along with with authorizing the chairman's signature, an EFT form for the transfer of those funds. So I just need board action to authorize staff to complete that form, authorize the chairman's signature on the EFT form, so they can get their money and start their study.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by
exciting.
Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion?
I just want to say that's great news.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Congratulations, Ms. Webb.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Webb.
Y'all have a good day.
Thank you,
Used
Ms.
to be
Petty.
boss. Okay.
All right. All right, let's take a 5-minute break and we'll come back and do our planning and zoning reports.
Come inside and check us out. We have something for everyone. Hello, welcome to Apalachicola Chocolate and Coffee Company. From our handmade chocolates, fudges, delicious old-fashioned caramel, pies, cookies, including the largest Greek wedding and macarons you've ever seen. We also make the Italian-style ice cream called gelato, which is adult-tested and kid-approved. We have a full menu coffee bar, from lattes and cappuccinos to some of our signature drinks, such as our affogatos and black bottom coffees. And don't forget about the famous crafted coffee blend. We also roast our coffee beans on site, so it's super fresh. Don't like coffee? We also have teas and lemonade. If you're hungry, we serve breakfast sandwiches, on our homemade bread, or we have New York water bagels. Or try the biscuits and gravy that are to die for. We also have lunch sandwiches and soups. We do carry some gluten-free and vegan options as well. Hear what some locals have to say.
I love the biscuits and gravy.
You know something? The coffee here is great.
I love the ice cream of the chocolate company.
So come check us out and stay a while. In here, it's just like Cheers, where everybody knows your name. Oh, hey, Dan.
I'm David Newton. I'm the new primary care physician in town. I moved here from Montana, and I'm currently working at both Weems East and West Clinic. I'm here working as a primary care physician, but I also take care of my patients in the inpatient setting. So if you're hospitalized here at Weems, you'll see me as well. Or if you need to rehab after a significant event and you need to participate in our swing bed program, I'll also be taking care of you. Even though I only work in the Weems Memorial System, I'm actually employed by Tallahassee Memorial Physician Partners. I'm the Franklin County branch. They've established a partnership, which I'm very grateful for, which allows me to be an employee of Tallahassee Memorial and work very closely with the numerous resources that they have, as well as working in the area that I wanted to work in, which is rural family medicine and practice in Apalachicola. Once again, I'm Dr. David Newton. If you have any medical concerns or want to talk to somebody about medical conditions you're experiencing, just give me a call here at Weems and I'd love to take care of you. If you see me out in public, I'll probably be carrying around a little pug named Dr. Pepper. We'd love to talk to you. So just stop and say, hey, what's up? And I'd love to have a conversation with you or just shoot the breeze.
Hi, I'm Kara Landis. I'm a professional realtor in love with St. George Island. When my husband and I and our dogs moved here in 2002, it was the beginning of an adventure that has never grown old in a community that is amazing. If you're thinking about moving to St. George Island or investing in our world-class real estate, then this community will be as important to you as the sand and surf.
Well, Kara to me is much more than an agent. She's become a friend, and since we bought the house, we've needed work done, and she knows everybody there is that can help us with that.
One of the key elements for the historical growth and value of St. George Island real estate is the fact that it's a great place to vacation and to live. The beauty of the Gulf of Mexico with its white sand beaches and blue sky has always been a magnet for me. It was love at first sight. As your realtor, I can help educate you on the various aspects of buying and owning coastal properties. From taxes to coastal setback lines to where to find the best oysters, it's all part of being your realtor.
Too often our friends tell us of it being a hardship to buy a house, and the agent was gone as soon as the closing. We've had quite the opposite experience with Kara.
If you're looking to buy or sell real estate on St. George Island, I'd love to work with you. Please call or text me at 850-653-7753.
Working towards various telehealth programs where we might be able to sit down and talk to specialists one-on-one so we can get on the same page with clinical direction, wound care, endocrine, nutritionists, psychiatry. We have a lot of interesting ideas that we'd like to implement as soon as possible, and we're working towards doing that on a day-to-day basis.
Our beautiful piece of paradise. Please make sure you visit our local shops, restaurants, galleries, and take some time to experience something different and take a fishing trip or tour with one of our experienced guides. Our neighbors and their businesses are the heartbeat of our community. Thank you for visiting, and remember to shop local, eat local, and fish local. This message is brought to you by the Apalachicola Bay Chamber of Commerce. Download the new Florida's Forgotten Coast app. See the latest beach conditions, things to do, places to get delicious seafood, and great shopping along Florida's Forgotten Coast, plus more. Also, check out the Explore the Forgotten Coast Passport and Forgotten Coast Foodie Passport to be entered for your chance to win a trip to the Forgotten Coast. Download the new Florida's Forgotten Coast app and the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. This mobile app brought to you by the Franklin County Tourist Development Council.
Franklin County Board of County Commissioners now back in session. Excuse me. Up next, we're going to do our planning and zoning reports with Ms. Courtney Bankston. Go ahead, Ms. Courtney.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The first thing I have on the report is the address. I made a typo. It's actually supposed to be 1494 Alligator Drive. It's for the Anderson dock. It's the consideration of a request to construct a 300 by 4 foot dock access walkway with a 16 by 10 terminus to an existing deck. Property is described as it's Alligator Point, Franklin County, Florida. It was submitted by Salty Dock Construction, agent for the Andersons, who are the applicants, and this application will be contingent upon state and federal permits. The only review that I had as staff was that the dock meets all requirements. They just needed to provide the state and federal permits or exemption before the dock could be permitted, and the board actually recommended approval for this.
So move.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? I do have a question. Ms. Bankston, in reading through the recommendation here, it says approval contingent on state and federal permits or exemption. So
Correct.
are they actually going after permits, or they're going after an exemption? Do you know?
In some cases, they do get an exemption. If there's part of the dock and deck there still existing, so sometimes they can get an exemption for it, but
Okay.
other than that, they will need the actual permits.
Okay, so part of the dock's still there, they're actually repairing or building back. Okay,
Correct.
I just didn't know how that worked. Sorry.
No problem.
Personal clarification, I just wanted to know. Any more discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, next I have, we gave it an address, I'm sorry, it's 373 Airport Road. It's a consideration of a request for site plan review for a 60 by 50 airplane hangar on property described as 373 Airport Road. It was submitted by Bob Wendoff, agent for Robert Casper, applicant. The board also recommended approval for this application.
And I would say, Commissioners, in that application, Courtney could show you if needed to, you had both statements from the interim airport manager and the airport engineer. And Mr. Muscel was there at the P&Z meeting, and he offered there were some questions he had, and then he offered some insight. So that approval is based on all that information, Commissioners.
I have a question. So this is actually on airport property, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes, the hangar.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I'm just confused on what we're asking here. Is this an individual that's wanting to put they're paying to put their own hangar at the airport?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, they're paying us just site rent.
Site.
It's similar to, oh gosh, what's his name? Pete Burgers.
Burgers, yes.
Okay.
Right next door to people.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I'm fine. It obviously has been done before, but.
Yes. Casper.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Okay, that was my only question. Pleasure of the board.
So move.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Ward, and we're approving the commercial site plan application to construct a hangar at the airport.
Mr. Chairman, just a point for the record, we have an existing ground lease with this applicant, correct?
Correct.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
And that money will go right into the county treasury.
Yes, sir.
The rental of all
To
that.
the airport.
Airport, that's right, exactly.
Air-
That's what
airport
makes
cost.
FDOT happy.
All right, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Let me ask you a question on that.
Sir.
If by some case, after they build this hangar and they leave or whatever, the hangar revert back to us?
It's, I think 20 years, it reverts the county.
Yes.
All right.
there was some discussion that Mr. Berger, the other one, he's ready to kind of work out a deal with the county now.
Okay.
Actually, I think I gotta call him back. We're supposed to schedule a meeting this week or next week.
Okay. So after 20 years, it would revert back to the county, is what you're saying? Okay. All right. Proceed, Ms. Courtney.
All right. The only other thing I had was the ordinance amendment application. Mark Carrington presented to the board the amendment for the Franklin County Private Rights Comp Plan. And the board recommended approval for the change.
Attorney Schuler, can you weigh in on this, please? And this is why I'm asking. As I understand it, this is language that was adopted by the legislature.
That's my
It should be
understanding as well.
included, so that's what we're trying to do.
Yes, sir. The state legislature, for reasons that frankly escape me, are requiring the county to embed in our comp plan existing laws that are commonly known and commonly enforced, but you know, if they're making us check the box, then I would recommend that the board authorize the public hearing and comply with the state statute.
Okay, and to clarify, so today we would be approving by a vote of the board potentially having a public hearing on this matter?
No, this is the public hearing.
Okay.
This is it.
Wait, we haven't advertised. No, no.
No.
My understanding is P&Z just received this, last
Okay,
Tuesday?
I apologize.
Yeah, so, and I'm sorry, so they've been looking at this month, this report. This is their second look at it. Mark did the previous month. He said it to them, have them review it, asked them if they had any problems with it, let him know, because he wanted them to recommend this board adopting that language. His explanation to them, and Mr. Pierce, I know you know more than me, you jump in, or you too, Courtney. Basically, I was watching the meeting, he said to the board members, he said, look, this is the basic language. This is what the legislature is recommending that you put in there. If you don't like this language and you want to do something else, we've got to create our own language, send it to them for approval, they send it back, and then we adopt it. I think that's the process here. So Mark was like, look, it's what they recommend, it's basic language, let's just go with what they sent.
Yeah, but we're amending the comp plan. That can only be done through an ordinance.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I thought this was public. Yeah, Commissioner, this is, I don't want to use the word that probably shouldn't describe the
We
legislature.
discussed earlier this week, careful.
This is one of those things that should have been done 30 years ago when they adopted Chapter 163 and the whole comp plan process. Franklin County, as far as I'm concerned, has been very good about recognizing private property rights, and we've been very positive and strong in representing the people who have the rights to do things that now the legislature is just recognizing. But this language should have been in the 163 chapter comp plan stuff 30 years ago. It's nothing new to me, nothing new to your attorney. It's nothing new to the people of Franklin County, that we recognize that people have certain rights and we try to uphold and enforce those rights. The legislature now is getting around to putting it in writing, and so yes, we ought to, this is language that it's in our spirit here, and we're just now putting in the comp plan. But I recommend wholeheartedly that you adopt this language as written, so we don't have this back and forth with 1,000 lawyers and 1,000 different places arguing about the meaning of the words. If the legislature says it's adequate, then it's adequate.
So we do need a motion for a public hearing to start this process, Attorney.
In order to amend the comp plan, yes.
Yes.
All right, pleasure of the board.
So move.
We have a motion to approve going to the public hearing by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. All right, proceed, Ms. Courtney.
The only thing I have left is my report. My zoning administrator report. I've got a few informational items. The first one being a few meetings ago, Commissioner Bolt inquired about doing research on other counties that have a magistrate for planning and zoning. And I checked with a number of counties: Wakulla, Gulf County, Liberty County, Calhoun, and they've all responded that they have no zoning magistrate. I then reached out to Commissioner Bolt for possible suggestions of other counties, and he stated to research Fernandina Beach, I researched their website as well as speaking with their planning director, and it was verified that they have a regular planning and zoning board and a quasi-judicial board, but they do not have a zoning magistrate for either board. The only magistrate that they have is for a special magistrate specifically for code enforcement.
Okay.
So I wanted to give an update on that.
Good, thank you.
So before you proceed, Commissioner Bull, I guess my question is that suffices?
That satisfies,
Okay,
especially the fact we blended two boards together and we have successful quorums now.
Oh, yeah, they're working really well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Another thing I had was the Planning and Zoning Adjustment Board has been doing very well. The last meeting, we had 7 board members in attendance. District 5 seat member resigned. So David Duncan, who was an at-large member, has now been designated as the District 5 seat member. Joy Toronto has been moved from alternate seat to at-large seat member. We still have a vacancy for District 4 chair, and we now have 2 alternate seats available.
Great, thank you for doing that.
Mr. Chairman, I would recommend that the board approve those changes to the membership of the board by motion and vote of the county commission.
Okay.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion to approve
Second.
by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Bolt, and we're adopting these changes that have been made on our Planning and Zoning Adjustment Board. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
And Commissioners, keep in mind, the alternate seats can come from anywhere in the county. They're not district restricted. So
How many alternate seats do you have vacant now?
2 vacant right now.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, you're going to advertise this on the Franklin County website?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That's Courtney's intent, yes.
Okay.
I have one other thing that's not on the, not listed. I talked to Michael about this morning. We both forgot to mention it. I have an update on the no wake zone signs that were damaged or destroyed by Hurricane Michael. I contacted FWC, who suggested 3 different contractors. I contacted each of them, and they were unable to assist with the signage install. And then one contractor suggested a 4th contractor, so I reached out to him, and I'm just waiting for a response. The actual signage is not the issue. It's the issue is finding a contractor to install the signage for us. We have 3 different locations, 2 at Aclockney River, and then 1 at Creekmore Channel.
When you say those at Oclotney River, is that the area that's paralleled by Rio Vista Road, that frontage of water there? Because I know the folks there are concerned about speeding traffic and that disturbs the vegetation grasses on the shoreline of that river.
What we could
I know I've been contacted about some new areas that people are wanting to install no wake zones. I'm not sure if that's part of the signage that was destroyed.
The ones at Ocklawaha Commission can give you a map because we sent a map with coordinates to the contractors. So yeah, and then you could let me know, let us know. That's not exactly where you wanted them.
Okay,
so
I'll find out for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Bankston.
No problem.
All right. So I guess next we're heading to our public hearing. We don't have a time restraint on starting this, do we?
This one was not advertised time certain, Commissioner,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Sounds good. Just want to make sure where we're at.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, so this is a public hearing regarding a application that Tracy Busby has helped put together for the matching component for the acquisition of the Alligator Point Fire Department. The Alligator Point Fire Department to me is a critical acquisition for Franklin County. It helps the fire department and it helps everybody else by moving that structure out of the way, out of harm's way, to a higher piece of land they already own. The estimated value of this whole thing is approximately $400,000. I spoke to the fire chief just the other day to verify that they didn't have some other number in mind. And they agrees that I expect that if this project goes through, the fire department will get about $350,000 because I have to reserve money for closing costs and potentially demolition costs of the building. And he said that $350,000 was in keeping with what they thought they were going to be getting anyway. So we're all good on the valuations that we're working towards. But what we're trying to do now is fill in the 25% matching grant that comes out of the local government. And so this application is intended to fill that $100,000 matching grant. It's from the, it's a community development block grant, DR, from Hurricane Michael. We think it's an eligible project. We're not quite sure how fast it's going to get funded, but I do need board action for this. I will tell you before I ask for actually vote on this that I'm going to have you a secondary action, and I don't know, Aaron, we should roll on to one or not. In the event that, my feeling, I haven't talked to Commissioner Bolt about this in detail, but my feeling is this acquisition is so important that I'm willing to recommend, and I do recommend, that if we do not get funded by the CDBG-DR, that we look at using the the Ballpoint Trust Fund. There's approximately $330,000 in the trust fund now that we would then allocate $101,000 out of that trust fund to make up the local match. If we can't make it up either by the CDBGR or by in-kind services, that we would then use Ballpoint Trust Fund. Because I just say this to Commissioner Bolt, is that I think it's important to move the fire department. They're counting on moving, they want to move, and I think we need to assist them in moving and getting them out of what's a very vulnerable area, which then frees up a piece of property that has, we won't necessarily build a road immediately across that, but if there's ever a damage again down there, that washout on the west end is not being protected by any structure. And as the shoreline moves on the west end, we need to have the ability to relocate that road as necessary, and that fire department building is right in the way. So we need to get them out of the way for the benefit of everybody.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Question, if I had made for Mr. Pierce. Do we have a written agreement with the owner of the fire department property that they're going to transfer that property to the county upon the relocation?
We do not have, I spoke with the fire chief, we do not have any written agreements.
If it's not in writing, it doesn't matter.
I agree, it's not in writing. We don't, and we couldn't really give them writing until we have the grant. We couldn't make it up.
We could do a conditional agreement, I think, with certain conditions that have to be satisfied. But I do think before we get too far along in the process, particularly giving money, we need to have a written transfer agreement in place.
Yeah, no, we're not going to give them any money. It's months away before we get the money, but I agree completely. It's just the application process.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I agree with the way this is all planned, and there were two contingencies before we ever dip into the potential Alligator Point Trust Fund. And I think that was very important to find those other contingencies. And also, you can see how the Alligator Point Volunteer Fire Department has already committed to another piece of ground in the vicinity, higher ground, et cetera. That's very important. And the other side of it is, too, that we have a safety issue there. As that road bends around that old fire department, it's a hairpin turn. Some people have miscalculated it and already been in accidents in that area, too. So I think this is a win-win for safety as well.
Mr. Chairman, for you, I'm supposed to read into the record this public notice, so let me just do that. It's only one paragraph. The Florida Department of Economic Opportunity has allocated $109 million in CDBGR funds to the hazard mitigation match program, which will be administered by DEO as an applicant under the federal emergency, the FEMA's HMGP program. Franklin County is eligible to participate in the match program made available through the DEO to reimburse the non-federal portion of the awarded and eligible HMGP grant. The match program is funded by U.S. Department of HUD's CDBG Community Development Block Grant, DR allocation for Hurricane Michael recovery, described in the Supplemental Appropriation for Disaster Relief Act 2018, Public Law 115, and the additional Supplemental Appropriation for Disaster Relief Act 2019, Public Law 116-20.
And even though I was standing with my back to the audience, there's a document for anyone that was in the room that they asked that we fill out, whether they comment on the item or not. So I'm just going to pass this around for the public to sign, okay, while you guys continue.
All right.
So it's a public hearing, you said, Alan?
This is a public hearing that we're into right now.
Yep.
Public comment at some point, Mr.
That's
Chairman.
fine. Are there any questions from any of the commissioners or concerns you'd like to address?
So this extra money potentially really complements what FEMA has already done for our road on the western side.
Yes, I mean,
this is non-federal money to
so
complement federal money.
$5 million of FEMA money, well, $4 million of FEMA money and $750,000 of DEO money for the road being relocated. So this is another example of federal dollars being put into an area that, you know, I did a TV interview yesterday. I'm just sort of filling time for a second here with Channel 27, talking about the need once again to if we're going to spend all this money protecting the road, for access, we need to protect the road from future damage, and the best way to do that is through a beach renourishment program out there. And I've met with the Alligator Point Taxpayer Association on a four-way audio phone call last Saturday, where I talked about, again, the need for beach renourishment out there, and that the county was willing to move forward so long as there's a maintenance agreement in place with the community about how we're going to pay for this thing, because it's a waste of $10 million to put a beach out there if we don't have some way of maintaining that beach in perpetuity, because the erosion effect out there is continuing anyway. So this is just one more step that we're trying to move things away from the shore. As I told people, and I told the Channel 27 yesterday, if we could move the road away from the shore, we would have, but because of the restrictions on federal funding, we could not move the road. So the road is where it is, the water line is where it is, and in order to protect the road and the water line, we really need a beach out there which stabilizes everything. But that beach is something still to be debated by the residents of Alligator Point.
Okay.
Just a second. Mr. Chairman, I want to just say one more thing. You've taught me loud and clear over the last several years, and I certainly respect this, that the folks at Alligator Point, and I am really encouraging and cheerleading them, they are planning and thinking about this factor of protection of the road a year in advance or more. Ultimately, I want them to bring a product to us here at the County Commission of a plan of care for the funding of that road, so that we're not micromanaging. You need to know what they want, and we want them to tell us what they want. So that's been the spirit of my encouragement with them.
Okay, thank you. Any more commissioners have anything before we take public comments? Okay, this is a public hearing, so if anyone in the audience would like to come forward and speak on this issue, you can do so at this time. Okay, I see none in the room. I think we'll have to wait for Mr. Morone to get back here to see if anybody online might want to comment.
Just do not ask the dinosaur to check that.
Don't ask me to do that, sorry.
I'm looking and I don't see any hands raised for any comment, public comment.
I forgot, Courtney, that you're also listening in the background. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So I guess I'll ask, since we have a minute here, if there is anybody online that does want to comment, please raise your hand, use the raise your hand feature. And after you're recognized, you can unmute with *6. That much I remember.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. Courtney, is there still nobody with raised hands?
That's correct. Nobody has their hand raised.
Okay. So, pleasure of the board.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd recommend a motion that we approve the submission of the application for the $100,089 or whatever it is, exact amount, for the HMG application. And included in that, though, this is not funded, that we then have as a backup $100,000, the same amount of money coming out of the Ballpoint Trust Fund.
Okay.
So move.
Okay. Commissioner Bolt made a motion to approve this language,
I'll second.
and second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion before we vote?
Yes,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Should we not be including some kind of written agreement between the county and the?
Well, if we get
You're
funded
applying
for-
for all this money, but there's no agreement, as attorneys previously spoke.
If we get funded, then yes, there will be a sale contract.
And if they don't sign,
then we turn the money back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you for doing that.
Yep, no problem.
That's the end of the public hearing.
Yes, it is. All right, so up next, we'll be opening the bids for the RFQ for airport manager services. Correct? That's what's next, right?
What's next, sir?
Open the bids for the airport manager?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, we do. Commissioner, if I may, before we do, so looking over the bids this morning, we've received 3. One is from Mr. Muscel, your interim airport manager. And the problem with that I have, Commissioner, is that Ted was part of the creating the advertisement for the RFQ, and Ted and I have sat in my office and talked about how we would review the actual packages that came in, the future. So not once that Ted never indicated to me that he was going to submit a proposal. So I guess what I'm asking the board, I think the easiest path, since we now know that Ted wants to submit a proposal, can we basically table this and redo the whole process without Ted being a part of it, so he can then submit a proposal if that's what he wants to do? I'm trying. I guess what I'm trying to find out the way is not to exclude Ted from the situation if that's what he wanted to do. I wish we had known that in the beginning, then we wouldn't have to redo this process all over again.
Yeah.
But it's up to the board. You could send what we have to the review committee with or without Ted's packet. I think if we send it with Ted, there's going to be a conflict issue that we'll probably get in trouble for down the line. Attorney Schuler, I'm sure, could advise you that better than I could. Or we could do the whole process over without Mr. Muscel being involved. I'm presenting this to the board, and I asked Attorney Schuler for some advice as we proceed here.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I can, I'll draw the board's attention back to the FBO hangar roof issue where a contractor was coming before the board basically wanting to volunteer to write the specs for the roof repairs. And my advice to the board at that time was, you can't prepare the bid specs and then bid on the project. That is inherently a non-waivable conflict of interest. So in this case, unless you restart the process, I do believe my recommendation would be to disqualify Mr. Muscel as an applicant.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to plead that we open up a pathway for Mr. Muscel to be able to have a clear, ethical, transparent pathway to apply his application. I think it's very important that we have ethically talked about this publicly. Mr. Muscel is a pro at this airport, hands-on. And I want to be sure that this airport and the people of Franklin County and the pilots in this community have a full vested interest in all of the talent that can come to that airport, and Mr. Ted is one of the highlights in that talent. So I do want to go ethically through and give him a clear pathway to be one of the applicants.
I understand what you're saying, Commissioner Bolton. I don't disagree with you, but I would like to highlight this fact. Yes, Mr. Muscel does a great job, has been doing a great job for us, but I think this board should be very careful on how they entertain and comment, because at the end of the day, even if we do decide as a board to restart this process, it can't look like we've already tainted or made up our mind ahead of time.
That's right, and
that's why we're receiving bids.
Exactly, and the spirit of right now, this conversation says exactly what you want.
Yeah.
We're open, we're transparent, we're thinking about this, our head is not in the sand, and our middle name is ethics right now, and we want to make sure that we do it all right. But I want that man as a clear applicant in our system.
Okay.
So what's the recipe to move forward to be sure that he can do that?
Discussion.
Yep. No
Yeah.
answer.
Now, this thing was wide open when Mr. Ted accepted the job. He knew it was a temporary job. Now, for us to put it back, y'all asking us to take back and put it back so he can put in an application, in which he put in an application, and he heard the ruling of what this attorney, Mr. Schuler, told that man standing right at that podium about one day he was sitting up there, he told me he couldn't be in something. Ted was standing right there. Well, he, and I'm quite sure Mr. Ted should have known that he can't be on a committee making the application of what people what the do's and the don't. You can't be on the committee and then put your application in.
We have a built-in interview that Ted has had for 6 months. Is an internship, if you will, even though he's an old pro. And many times, agencies do have interns that ultimately get the same job for which they interned. And I think we've got a known quantity here.
I ain't talking about the intern, I'm talking about
I know, I realize.
they wrote the plan, of what the qualifications is.
Well, how much did he really write? We don't know that.
Well, Commissioner, he was part of the review committee that sat around the table.
Okay.
And so, and so I'm gonna try not.
So, hold on just a second, Mr. Brown.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, regardless of what this board decides to do, because it's really up to this board.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're 5 individuals, we're a collective whole. It's up to us.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, we really, and I'm trying to stress this in a way that is consistent with how it should be. We can talk about ethics all day long, but we need to act ethically.
Yes, sir.
And for us as board members to be champion for Mr. Muscel, and I'm not trying to put his name out there, it is because of part of this process. Okay, I appreciate Mr. Ted, I think he does a great job. But for us to champion on his behalf and tell other applicants they need to now resubmit because he also submitted, sir, it looks like we've already made our mind up as a board. And I think that sends a wrong ethical message. Doesn't matter how much I say I want to be ethically right. I have to be ethically right. It's not about wanting to be. It's about our actions. So that's my only concern here today.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to disagree with you, Commissioner Bolt.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Muscel has done a great job. We are where we are. I'm not trying to exclude or include anyone, but I am saying we need to do what's ethically right.
Okay.
And I don't think it's ethically right to tell people that have duly submitted their stuff for airport manager services that they need to resubmit because somebody that was a part of the process submitted. Because you know what's going to happen? They're not going to resubmit.
Yeah.
The guy that helped write it the first time in any shape or fashion, we're redoing it because he also submitted. They're going to say, yeah, no, I don't know what Franklin County's doing, but I don't want to be any part of it. I'm sorry, that's just the way I see it.
I see that.
And I'm not trying to disagree with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that insight.
You said it way better than I could. It sends a bad signal.
Understand.
You know, and I guess, you know, I wish if Ted had any intention of applying, he should have said from the onset, look, guys, I'm going to apply for this. I need to be arm's length.
Yeah.
I need to come here with clean hands, you know, so when I submit my stuff. That's what should have happened. You know, I understand. Commissioner, even the state have rules about doing stuff like this. You can't be the engineer of a project and do the engineer inspections. Check and balance. It's that simple. Sure. You know, and I don't mean to be aggressive. I'm not against Ted, commissioners. Don't get me wrong. I've supported Ted as much as I could in the process. What I'm worried about is how does Franklin County now look in this process? Mm-hmm. That's my problem.
And we look good because we're having this conversation. I'm glad we are.
I mean, that's up to opinion, but you know, I will do as the board directs me to do.
And another thing, I mean, but Ted do a good job. I'm not talking against.
I know you're not. Yeah.
But okay, he put his application in. The way we talking right now, it looked like Ted got the job.
I understand.
But this could be something real serious to come back on us.
I understand that. I agree. I understand.
Maybe, I mean, you know, the other applicants, hey, this man wrote the thing.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I'm gonna tell you the truth in my line. If I was there writing it and I'm gonna put input, I'm gonna write it in my favor.
I understand.
I mean, that's what I'd have done.
Yeah.
Mr. Ted might not have done. But that's what the people gonna think.
Understand, and I appreciate the conversation, and that part of my spirit of this is to stimulate this conversation so we have it. Ted is a Franklin County treasurer relative to that airport, and in some way, secondarily then, I hope that we can preserve him and his knowledge in some way going forward.
You know,
thank you.
Yes, sir.
and another thing is, I'd rather look at the applicant than to just throw this back. Cause what they gonna do? They gonna have to rewrite it.
I understand. Oh, I know.
If you do that, you couldn't use that writing what he went in. In no way.
That's the dilemma I face.
You can't
Now,
use that.
even in starting the process over.
That's true.
How do I like that look, Attorney Schuler, that's how I look in here. It's like, how am I going to rewrite this that satisfies the public, that they say, okay, it's a clean slate, we're fresh, starting all over again? I defer to the Chairman and Commissioner Lockley. How do we fix this to make sure that it looks like we're being fair and transparent to everybody that applies? And Commissioner Bolt, and I think what the chairman is trying to say indirectly, I guess, the more we keep speaking of how good Ted is, the worse it looks for the county.
I understand. Okay.
That's what he's saying, because
Sure.
if he gets it, everybody's gonna say, oh, well, look at them, it was a fixed game. That's basically what they're gonna say.
Understand.
But on the flip side, you don't want to say that, and then if Ted is a most qualified one, not give it to him, because then it's like in reverse. He's being penalized in reverse. I just wish that he had said that in the beginning, that this would not even be an issue, commissioners. We wouldn't even be having this 15, 20-minute discussion about this situation.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I'm disappointed that only 3 people, including Mr. Ted, applied for this job. That's disheartening to me, because you're not getting a good pool of qualified candidates. My suggestion is to put this off to after the first of the year, look at how to re-advertise and go back and re-advertise for it. In the meantime, keep Mr. Ted Muscel as intern.
So, yes, I think what I'm going, Commissioner, I hear you. So the only way, and again, I'm working here, hate to sound like a dinosaur, but like Alan, but I guess we need to spread it out. Actually change the whole advertisement to be more inclusive and include others that maybe live a little outside of the 100-mile radius, but have the qualifications to do it. Because then that would bring a bigger pool, Commissioner Parrish, and that's what I think you're heading. So I guess, Aaron, what we'll need to do is sit down with others like John, the AFCON, different people, and say, okay, help us make this a better, I guess, request for proposals or for qualifications. What are we doing? RFQs. Do a better job. And then, commissioners, I think we could safely say it was clean because it's different and Ted was not involved.
I mean, I don't know who the other applicants were.
Yeah, and I don't want
I'm
to.
just disappointed that, including Mr. Mostello, there was only 3 people that applied for the job.
Yeah, none of us know.
I mean, I don't know who the other people were, so I'm not saying nothing bad about nobody, but I was expecting 7 or 8 different applicants, not 3, including Mr. Mostello. And I agree with everything else that's been said here this morning, the way it looks, the way we keep talking more and more about Mr. Ted. It looks like it's all skewed to his corner. I mean, I agree with all of that. But the most disheartening thing is only 3 people applied for the job.
So,
I mean, that's, I'd rather see a bigger pool of applicants.
I hear you.
And if Mr. Ted wants to apply, he can, but I don't know, because it don't look good that your intern, I mean, if the intern, it's been the intern for, if we extend this to January, it's been the intern for 8 months. And everybody applies, but then your intern gets the job. What does that, it goes back to what does it look like?
Well, as long as they're not part of the process of writing it up, I don't have no problem with that.
Well,
You know.
I'm gonna make a motion that we table this and we go back out after the first of the year, come up with the criteria and all that.
Clarify, please.
Well,
Commissioner Parrish, Mr. Chairman, the proper procedure would be for the board to reject any and all bids.
Yep.
And then, as part of that motion, if the direction is to essentially restart the process with a broader geographic scope and other issues, that you'll have to form some new review committee that comes up with a new advertisement and new criteria. I think the committee should be a separate motion from the motion to reject and restart the process.
Yeah. And be aware, commissioners, it might be about more money. That might be the issue. So know if I come to you and say, all right, we need to offer more money in this, just forewarning, that might be the issue if we do some samples around and see what's going on.
So Commissioner Parrish, do you amend your motion or do you withdraw your motion?
Whatever the board wants to do that. I've made my.
You made the motion.
I withdraw.
Okay.
I made my opinion known, it's up to
Okay.
the board.
Okay.
I don't think we got to take, I don't think it's gonna take to the first of the year. Shouldn't take that long. But, this is what I'm saying. The only thing I want Mr. Ted to know, and everybody in here, no, I'm not against him putting in an application. And I know he qualified, but I'm against him putting in an application, and he was on the part that wrote up the do's and the don'ts of what you need to do. You can't do that. And that's the part you can't do. The other part is fine. With him putting in an application, he can put in an application, but he can't be on the committee that write up what it entails. Because that's not gonna work. I don't think that'll work.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, how about I ask for the motion for you guys to basically reject all bids that was submitted this morning, Mr. Chairman, and what, if 60 days? You want another ad before you in 60 days? Would that be,
90 days.
I think it'd be a good time frame, but, you know, that's just me.
Mr.
Well,
Chairman?
what? Nah. See that? This open up all kind of nail.
Mm-hmm.
Now what is the reason we gonna give the public to make it right? Because you got 2 more applicants out there. Now what are we gonna tell the public to make this,
I'm basically.
to justify this, starting over?
Because of what you said, Commissioner Lockley, basically, we're rejecting it because one of the applicants is the person that was part of writing up the request for qualifications, basically. So that's my, that's my justification, I guess, if I could say that, you know. And
I can go along with that.
And I think in 60 days, I can find in 60 days, I think I can do the research to get another ad in front of you. And Commissioner Bolt, understand what I'm saying? In 60 days, I get the ad in front of the board. You guys still have to approve it, and then we have to advertise it.
Okay.
So,
That gives us more time.
Yes,
Okay.
that's
So we're resetting the button now with a motion that we.
What we're talking about.
what we're talking about. It's not a
Exactly.
motion yet.
Mike, but, Mr. Chairman, if you know, we went back and took some of the things out of the last criteria that we were gonna advertise.
Yeah.
Well, if you're talking about increasing the dollars, then that criteria should increase, not downgrade.
I agree, I agree.
If you're gonna increase the money, then the qualifications gotta go back and increase also.
Yes.
You
Yes.
can't
Yes.
have qualifications here and you
And
want
money
to
goes
get
up.
money
That's right.
up there.
I agree.
I
That's
mean,
right,
so I
exactly.
want you to take that into consideration when you're looking at these qualifications. I mean, if you're gonna raise the money, then the qualifications ought to raise too.
Yep.
Yep.
I think the only drawback to that is if we raise the qualifications, we're agreeing that we are raising the money. So it
Well,
goes
you
back
raise
and
the money,
forth.
then I'm agreeing that we do raise the
Yeah,
qualifications.
well,
That's all
we
I'm
need to-
saying.
Look, Commissioner, again, I'll look up. Let me stop, because Commissioner Ward has been trying to speak.
She's been
and
trying
let
to
me walk
speak for a
away from the
while.
microphone. I'm
Go
so
ahead,
sorry.
Commissioner.
All right, here's the thing. I'm going to make a motion because, and Commissioner Lockley, conflict of interest is used all the time. People make boo-boos. Conflict of interest is the terminology used. I'm gonna make a motion to table these RFQs for 6 months to re-advertise.
Can we reject?
You actually have to reject, not
reject them?
table.
Yes,
table.
reject the RFQs as they are now. Table this decision, so that we can resubmit the
Re-advertise.
advertisement of the RFQ for airport manager position in 6 months. Advertise again, what, you want to advertise again in 6 months? What do you
No,
think?
60 days. 60 days, I'll bring an
Oh,
ad.
I said 6
I'm
months.
sorry, 60 days, yes.
So I'll make that motion to re-advertise, to reject, re-advertise, and 60 days.
Okay. So we have a motion by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by
With
Commissioner
discussion.
Bolt. All right.
And discussion.
Yes, sir.
And all we doing what's right, cause it's just like this board. We cannot do stuff by us being a board member. I can't go to the SHIP program and say, I want you to fix my house. Cause that's against, it's against the rules. And it's the same thing happening. I mean, the only thing he should have, Mr. Ted should have just said, well, he ain't had to quit his job right there. He could have that job. But the only thing I see what he'll have to do is say, I can't be on the committee, but write the term. Or whatever you're gonna do. Everything else is okay with me. I guess it, but got 4 more up there. I don't know how these.
Yeah. Commissioner Bolt, did you have discussion?
Just want to be sure that we fold in the need for criteria that we're looking for this airport manager.
Mm-hmm.
There was some discussion about casting the net geographically wider. There's been big concern that we have a feet on the ground airport manager at our airport. We want to be careful that we are not reaching out too long distance for another example of what failed before.
That's a valid point. Thank you, Commissioner.
Yep.
I would ask Attorney Schuler, weigh in on this if it's wrong. Would you consider amending your motion to not put a time frame on Mr. Mustel's current contract, but that it would go through this whole process if until we do hire an airport manager?
I thought you wanted a separate motion, Mr. Schuler?
Does it need to be a separate motion, or can it be added to this one?
Well, my recommendation would be for the board to make a decision whether to reject all bids and start the process over, and then as a separate motion, appoint a new committee.
Okay.
So in terms of Mr. Mosteller's position, then I think you could add into your first motion and rejecting the bids as a furtherance of that rejection, a continuation of him and his as is, where is doing the interim airport manager's position at the current pay.
I was actually going to make
That's
2
what I was
motions.
asking.
I was trying to do one each.
Okay.
So
that's fine.
But I will amend my motion to extend Mr. Mosteller as interim manager
until the board appoints.
Until the board appoints a new one.
A new one. That's the easiest way.
Right. That's
then there's
all.
no time limit. There's no exact time.
Did you amend your
I'll
second?
second. And I'll amend
Another
it.
time limit.
That's all I was trying to do, was make it smooth.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, any more discussion? I think we're about to discuss this out. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
I really appreciate that too. Thank
And I'll
you
make
guys.
another motion to appoint a new board so that there is no future conflict of interest.
Yeah.
The review committee?
The review committee, sorry.
And can I bring the committee back at the next meeting? So I have time to kind of develop names for your approval. Is that
And
okay?
please make sure that they're not going to apply for the position.
Yes.
Is it?
All right,
Yes.
so we have a motion on the floor.
And
to
I'll second
appoint a
that.
new review committee by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion before we vote?
Yeah, put on that website or either on this application that anybody interested in applying cannot.
Yeah, I'll make sure they know,
Don't
Commissioner.
you
I will make sure any of the committee members, if I have to take an oath in blood, I will, if I have to.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Now, let me ask
Great.
you, what we just did with the shooter, did we just open the door up for a lawsuit for them other 2 people?
No.
No, sir, I don't think there's any reasonable cause to be concerned by a lawsuit for the rejection of all bids and starting the process anew. I do agree with the board's commentary in terms of the problematic optics of it all, but the board has also identified other valid reasons for the rejection and moving forward. I mean, Commissioner Parrish has mentioned the low number of applicants. The board has discussed increasing both the pay and the qualification requirements, expanding the geographic area as issues of concern to the board. So there's more than just the poor optics that's going on here, and I think the board has established a sufficient record to support the action. But of course, I got fussed at one time when I said publicly that all it takes is a bad attitude and $405 for a filing fee, and you have a lawsuit. Doesn't mean it's a valid lawsuit. But so I will refrain from saying that specifically again.
There you go.
But in any event, I think the board's in relatively speaking, I think it's a reasonable decision, and I believe defensible if someone should try and challenge it.
And I want to say the spirit of that entire conversation, I think, had the honor of ethics behind it, too.
Yes, sir. Mr. Schuler, thank you for your clarification. Commissioner Lockley, thank you for the good question. All right, let's move on. Ms. Griffith?
Okay. All right. Item A. Let's see, the Florida Boating Improvement Grant Award. Franklin County received the attached notification from the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission that the $80,000 design grant application for the St. George Island boat ramp safety improvements was approved. FWC will be sending Franklin County the formal grant agreement for this project. Board action to accept this grant award and authorize the chairman to sign the grant agreement and return to FWC once received.
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Ward to approve.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lockley. Discussion. Ms. Griffith, this is the one that's going to allow us to put a floating seawall outside of the where it's bad.
It is, yep. It's going to allow for actually that type of breakwaters.
Breakwater and/or improvements for people to load and unload, that kind of thing. Okay. All right. Just want to put that so the public would know exactly what this grant is for.
And if they fund the design too, then you're pretty much almost guaranteed to be in the queue for construction later on.
Right. Just part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. All right. Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, item B, at the June 1st meeting, the board authorized staff to proceed with negotiations with the highest ranked firm, Southeastern Consulting Engineers, for the construction, engineering, and inspection on the SCOPS CR30A resurfacing project. The CEI for this project will include the construction, engineering, and inspection services for approximately 5.26 miles of resurfacing and widening. Board action to approve and authorize the chairman to sign the attached $208,888 contract with Southeastern Consulting Engineers for the SCOPS CR30A resurfacing project.
So moved.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lockley and Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Item C, Design Services Scrap Grant CR67 from the Crooked River Bridge at SR 166 and State Forest Road 166 to State Forest Road 172. Franklin County follows the Consultants Competitive Negotiation Act in selecting engineering firms for design improvements. Mr. Mark Currington, County Planner, and County Attorney Michael Schuler have reviewed the ongoing contract with county engineering firm Dewberry, and Florida Statute 287.055 allows for the county to negotiate with the contracted county engineer for the projects as both CR67 scrap projects fall below the construction cost thresholds, which would require advertisement. Board action to authorize staff to negotiate with county engineer Dewberry and Associates to provide design services for the two CR67 scrap agreements.
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, item D, the grant application window for the 22-23 Florida Department of Environmental Protection's FERDAP program opens on October 1st and closes on October 15th. The FERDAP program is a competitive award program for enhancements to parks and recreation facilities. The commission mentioned 3 different park locations for improvements at your last meeting: St. George Island Playground, Bruman Park in East Point, and Gene Sewell Park in Lanark Village. As the awards are competitive and entities are limited to 2 applications per year, I recommend submitting the applications on facilities with existing uses that will generate a score that will have the greatest chance of being funded. With that being said, I would like for permission to schedule and advertise public input meetings in the next 2 weeks for the St. George Island Playground and Bruman Park improvements. As Gene Sewell Park is farther out in the planning process without the infrastructure in place at this time to generate a high score, I would like to schedule a community input meeting in the spring for that park location to have a clear direction on the park concept for future funding applications. Board action to approve the advertising and scheduling of public meetings to discuss the proposed FERDAP projects.
Let me just make a comment. I spoke to Commissioner Vold about this just before the meeting. So the problem with the Gene Sewell Park is it's very small. And FERDAP, you get points for activities, and you need space to have those activities. In the Sewell Park, there may be other funding mechanisms, but the FERDAP application is not the one to get that funded. Because, you know, as you all have seen, all the parks we build, you're building baseball fields, football fields, basketball courts, soccer fields, things that can accommodate a lot of people, and that's where you get your scoring. The Gene Sewell Park is a little urban park, and just, you know, you might be able to put one thing in there at most. And so we need to look at a different funding source for that park, because it just doesn't, it will never get, I won't say never, but it'll never score very high and probably never get funded if we do FERDAP.
Okay. It's a pleasure of the board.
So move.
All right. So we have motion to approve the recommendation from Ms. Griffin to pursue these two areas for FERDAP grants.
Second.
Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That is unanimous.
And my next item was item E, which I already covered when Ted Muscel was up here in regards to the airport revenues. So.
Okay. Anyone on the commission have any questions or concerns for Ms. Griffin?
Mr. Chairman, Aaron, I just wanted to clarify, you did get the email I sent you about my recommendations for Riverman Park?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And I haven't had a chance to actually get into it yet,
That's
but
fine.
yeah, once we're done with tonight, I plan on getting on that.
That's fine. I just want to make sure you received it.
Okay. Mr. Morone?
Good news, Commissioner, it's raining.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, geez. Okay,
That was negative.
Yeah, I know. Page 11. Starting with item A, the Armory proposal on Friday, September 10th. Mark and I met with the representatives from Gilchrist, Ross, Crowe Architects. I told them at the meeting, they sound like a law firm, not like an architectural firm, but anyway. To discuss the Armory sprinkler fire suppression installation. The architect suggested bidding the sprinkler fire suppression installation and the interior painting project as one project. When that project is completed, then we could discuss a timeline for refinishing the floors. I've sent you a copy of the scope and fee proposal for your review and approval. So I just need board action to approve that scope and fee proposal for the installation of the fire suppression system and the interior painting. Now, no, that is not the construction, that's just the architectural fee. Their firm for what's going to be done. They're going to run the whole advertising. There might be, I talked to Mark, there might be some, depending on how the project is done, it's going to be a general contractor, construction manager at risk. They don't know, but it might be some additional inspection fees if they have to come down. They're not sure yet. They'll let us know that at some point in the future.
So I have a question, Mr. Morone.
Yes, sir.
I haven't had the pleasure of being on the board when we were actually doing any of the improvements at the Armory. So in this current structure, they're going to basically take that out for bid or whatever.
Yes.
After they design it.
Yes.
Whatever it's got to be done for the fire suppression system, and then they'll receive them and they'll approve it, or it
Yes.
comes back to us.
I think
They pretty much do it all, don't they? I'm not trying to make it worse. I'm just trying to make sure what we're doing.
Here now, because I was quick to answer you to tell you that they would handle it all, but it might come to us.
It does.
It does come to us, right, Commissioner? Yes.
The architect's not authorized to spend money.
Yeah, they can't spend
They can go out for
money.
bids and bring those bids back to us, and he can make a recommendation, but it's up to us to spend the
Okay,
money.
it's simply put, Commissioner, it's basically how Dewberry would do a project for you.
Okay.
Basically, they do the bids, it goes out for bid, it comes back to you, you send it back to them for their recommendation, you accept it, and then we move on.
Okay, sounds cool.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
I just want to make sure.
I had a,
just wanted to clarify, maybe this goes into the specs, but what comes first? It should be the painting first and then the sprinkler system installation following the painting.
oh, no, sir, because there's certain, you know the underneath part there in
Yeah.
the Armory, they're gonna have to pull down that wood because you're the Historical Society or office, whatever they are, they're gonna want them to hide the sprinkler system up there and just have the heads coming down. So now in the big part of the room, they'll be exposed, but they probably won't want them exposed under there. So no, the painting will come after that, the installation is done.
No painting on the heads of the sprinklers then? Okay.
Yeah, oh, they know, they
Oh, no,
they
they
know.
won't do that.
Or worry of that?
Yes,
Yeah.
no worry
Okay.
about that. They'll
All
make
right.
sure that's not done.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. These decisions, do we have I know we have boards for everything, but is there gonna be Because I know that, I think at last meeting, we decided to turn the armory over to the TDC in terms of scheduling things. Should they be included in some of the decision-making processes that moves forward? I know we have to do this fire suppression system, but in terms of the floors and the paint and things like that, is this something that we should include them in as well?
Yes, actually, I did talk to John already, and he will be looped in on every step we take moving forward. Like after today, I'll tell him, okay, John, this is who we are. And then the next step, as the bids come in and they recommend, he'll get a chance to sit in here and have any comments. He will make comments to this board as part of that group. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for the
Yes.
clarification.
Okay. All right, so pleasure of the board.
So move.
All right, motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
All right, so with the starting of that project, we go to B. The installation, with the starting of the fire suppression installation and the interior painting project, the ship office, which is currently in the armory at the moment, that's going to have to move out of the armory until most of the project is completed. Ms. Schweitzer, your ship administrator, has offered her Franklin's Promise office in East Point. It's the old Tiffin's interior building on Island Drive, if you guys know where that is, as a temporary ship office. Does the board have any other suggestions for a temporary office location? If you'd like, she could use this room since they're not using court to meet with clients. Like, you know, or she can go to the Carabel Annex building. We have an office over there. I could gladly ask the clerk once a month if she could use her office. Actually, it's a front office, not your office to meet with clients. It's up to the board. I just kind of want to get a sense of what you wanted to do while they're out of the office, out of the armory.
I want to see her in a government building. I mean, not no private building over there. You know, you got, we responsible for too much.
Well, and the
We got
clerk's
to keep-
office is responsible for all that paperwork.
That's what
Yes,
I'm
sir, I
talking-
agree with that.
We got to, them documents got to be under lock and key. And you got, when you're in the private sector, you got, I don't know who coming in and out of there. They come in and out of the courtroom, but at least you in the government building. I would have seen in a government building with that program.
Yeah, my only suggestion is I wouldn't want it to be multiple locations for the fact of keeping up with the paperwork. So wherever it's gonna be, it needs to be one location. It don't need to switch around. And that's not, you know, it doesn't care, I really don't care where it's at. I agree with Commissioner Lockley, but I don't think it needs to be in Appalachia one week and Carabel, and that's too much moving the paperwork.
And I'm sorry, what I neglected to say is that we're going to leave the files secured at the armory, locked in that room until the contractor needs to get in that room. I was talking about locations for her to meet with clients.
Oh, okay, that's a whole nother deal.
I apologize for not being more clear about this, Commissioner.
That's a whole nother deal, sir.
It is, yeah, I don't want it, because she has cabinets and cabinets of files that, that can't be moved. So, and if they have to be moved, Commissioner Lockley, they would be moved somewhere in this building. I'll have to find a spot. We'll figure something out temporarily while they actually install the sprinkler system in her office and repaint her office, commissioners. Okay? So.
Well, with the reason I say that, you know, person go to the bathroom, somebody can look in the file and get a whole lot of information just that quick.
Yeah. I was just trying to get a good, and I would wish there was a spot in East Point too, where clients for East Point could come and meet her. I was trying to get her to go to the clients rather than clients come to her, if you guys see what I'm saying.
If it's just meetings, why couldn't she use this building for anybody in Appalachia and the two libraries for anybody else, if it's just for meetings?
Yes, libraries. Don't forget we have the annex building in Carabel, so
that too.
we could use it. The East Point, that's an excellent spot. She could meet,
If it's just for meetings, why don't we do it that
Yes,
way?
okay, so we'll do the three locations here, East Point Library, and the annex building of the clerks graciously will borrow her the front spot, her office location.
Good.
Yeah, are the board good with that?
I am. How's the rest of
Yeah.
the board feel?
Okay, I'll let her know. That's how we'll do it. It'll probably start in October because I'm thinking the architects, once they get permission from the historical department up in Tallahassee, they want to move full speed ahead because they already actually had the plans drawn up, so that we're ready to go, get this done. We need it done before, hopefully, the beginning of January. We need that, at least this part of the project completed. That's what we're shooting for.
It shouldn't be
Yeah.
This shouldn't take that long for the
Okay.
whole process.
And I did not really need a motion, just needed some directions for that, so that's good. We already did C, Commissioners. D is no longer necessary. So let's move on to E. To the bottom of the page 11, Ms. Tracy Busby, who was working on the CDBG DR match application for generators, stated that a citizen participation plan and a citizen compliant policy is required as part of the application. Ms. Belcher provided a draft copy of a CDBG citizen participation policy and complaint plan that she had created a while back, attached. It's attached for you to review. Ms. Busby looked it over. She said that works perfectly, so I just need the board to approve that. It's just part of the application that they have to use as the CDBG DR application. And this is to buy some generators. We were going to buy a second one. Ted, I told her if you can, Ted, I told her to keep the extra generator in the airport just in case something happened with the one we were using through the grant. There was an additional one, Pierce, where you and I would talk about a generator somewhere. I can't remember. Anyway, there's a list of generators we're trying to apply for EOC.
Okay.
Anyway, I can get the list to you. Anyway, there's some generators we're applying for through this CDBG DR program. So I just need a board.
Hospital, what about the hospital?
Yeah.
Was it Weems?
That's right, it was
Yeah.
Weems.
Okay.
Yeah, even though we're working, so we'll work. One day, Ted, we might have more generators than we need, so, if that's possible. But anyway, I just need a board approval on this policy, this plan policy, so we can proceed with the application, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Parrish. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's a unanimous vote.
All right, Commissioners, and this should have been your my last report for the last meeting. The following are change orders to the paving project. There's a widening and asphalt overlay with double yellow lines and stop bar at Rio Vista Road. That's for $46,940. Commissioner Bolt, that's correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Striping on 8th and Gulfview Drive. Commissioner Ward, was that you?
No, that's Chairman Jones, Gulfview. Gulfview, I'm sorry. Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
And the stripe and stop bar sign at Lighthouse Road and Beacon intersection, I know that's you.
I'll check my notes. I want to say there's an additional street in East Point, but I'll look at my notes.
Okay, and send that to me.
And then in terms of Lighthouse Road and Beacon intersection, they're not looking to make that a four-way stop, right?
No, I think it's the opposite. Remember,
Right,
is that where they put the wrong
Mhm.
stop bar?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So they're gonna take that away and make Beacon the stop?
Yes.
And then, okay.
And the main, the main road will be Lighthouse. Yes, ma'am. If I said that right, yes.
You did.
Okay.
Mr. Morone?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to make sure, this Rio Vista Road, my intention was to repave that end of the road at an elbow where it begins a hard left-hand turn and goes to a boat ramp. At that position, there is potholes and everything in that area of the road. This bid isn't for the entire length of Rio Vista Road, is it?
Well, and that's what I sent it, the email earlier for Friday. I think I was for you guys to look it over. But I'll tell you what, sir, let's go with this, and if it's more, we can amend it at the next meeting. But I know you want them to start on that as soon as possible.
Yeah, I just don't want to, it's not necessary right now to pave. I just need to find out how much this money covered. Is the entire
Okay.
road?
That road is over a mile long. It's not, I can tell you $51,000 is not paving that.
That
We're
entire
not
road.
paving that entire road.
Yeah, I thought
That's
you
what I
talked from a
thought.
certain
Just the
spot,
elbow.
from a certain spot to the boat ramp area.
Yeah,
Was that
that's correct. Yeah, right there.
There's no way.
So, yeah, I thought so. This is too little for a huge road like
Okay,
that, so
so
it's
do you
gotta
want
be the elbow.
So do you want to not approve this one and just approve the other two? Yours
Correct,
until you
yeah,
talk
to make sure we're clear
Or do
on
you want
this
to
one.
approve this and then amend it if we have to the next meeting?
Right, to make sure we're clear
I
on
would
this.
approve an amendment if you have to, 'cause I think 51,000 is only a little bit of Rio Vista.
Okay.
Yeah, it has to be.
Mr. Brown, I'd like a point of clarification too. The issue at Lighthouse and Beacon intersection, you know, they made that mistake. I don't feel like we should pay them for a mistake they made because there was no stop sign there. It was never a four-way intersection or four-way stop. So Lighthouse was always a straight-through road. Beacon is where you stop. There's a two-way stop. They put the stop bar there and painted that there, but there wasn't a stop sign. I think it was a mistake on their part.
Okay.
I know it's only $1,400, but that's $1,400 of our constituents' money that doesn't need to be paid if they made the mistake.
Yeah, it
in my
can be used
opinion.
for something else. See, I didn't, and that's where, I'm glad you said that. I wasn't sure if that it was an error where it was shown as a four-way stop in some plan of theirs, and, you know, I saw the email with the complaint about it, so, and then from there we started working on it. So let's not approve that one and get with Andy on that one, okay? So basically, the Rio Vista and the Gulfview Drive are the only two that we're approving right now, Commissioners.
I'll make a
We're
motion.
verified. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
somebody say something?
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the change orders for Rio Vista, Gulfview, and 8th Streets.
Okay.
Okay. A motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion?
Yeah, they charge $14 to put it down, to put down stop.
I think they want to burn it, well, you know what, let me not, the way the quote read is they have to burn that stop bar they already painted in to get it off, and something else, change the striping in the corner intersection.
Oh, man.
I mean, the stop signs, we could actually order those ourselves if we
But
had
there
to.
was no stop
No,
sign
I'm
there to
talking about the
begin
stop
with.
Begin with, yeah,
No, I was saying stop in the road, whatever that little thing was being the road.
yeah.
Call $14.
Well, if they use thermoplast, that's expensive stuff,
Yeah.
they gotta get that up, because you don't wanna just paint over with black paint and then it get worn off, so they gotta really.
It's a
get it
process, yeah, you're right, process to remove it, so. But like Commissioner Ward is saying, if that error was on them, then they need to fix that at their cost, not ours, or not the constituents.
Ms. Gay, did we vote on this yet?
No.
We have a first and a second. Okay. Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Commissioners, I'd like to move on, Mr. Chairman. Item G, in the continuing effort to develop a floating dry dock and ship repair facility in Port St. Joe, Gulf County is decreasing their Triumph request to meet their metric percentages for the project. They're asking for a letter of support to submit with an application. It's going to be a request for $4 million to the Economic Development Administration's American Rescue Act to allow a reduction in funds to the Triumph request. A draft copy of that letter is attached to my report for your review. I just need the board to authorize the chairman to sign that letter.
I want 30 workers.
Michael, I want to ask a question. So this request, their request from Triumph for $4 million is for their allocation of money that's available at Triumph, nothing to do with ours, correct?
No, you got nothing to do with ours. And
Okay.
actually, they want to reduce the money they're asking Triumph for because they
Okay.
can't meet those.
Metrics?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Pleasure of the board. So what do we do if we get no motion or nothing? Just
We
keep
don't
going?
sign the letter of support.
Okay.
I sign it if they give me some workers. I want some workers. I mean, you know, we need some workers coming out of Franklin going to that shipyard.
We do, but I can tell you this, if they never get it, we'll definitely, they won't get in and we won't get in. That'll definitely happen, if it never happens, if they never develop it.
Yeah, and again, there's no money being tagged from any funding from Franklin County.
Right.
This is just a letter of support to allow them to apply somewhere else to get $4 million to reduce their request for their money, that's their Triumph funds. That's all this is, a letter of support.
So moved.
All right.
And
So
I'll
we have a
second
motion
it.
to approve by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Bolt.
With comment.
All right, go ahead, Commissioner Bolt.
I think this is a good neighbor type vote. And also, let's think of the long-range future of that ship rehabilitation facility there and the potential of the railroad coming right by our airport and other areas. I think this is a good, neutral, good neighbor vote.
All right, any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. Right, sir.
I'm sorry, sir. Item H, still on page 12, middle of the page, the county has received a request from Apalachicola Bay Chamber of Commerce to appoint Ms. Sheila Hauser to the Career Source Gulf Coast Board, which will be the Franklin County's private sector seat. If appointed, her term will be for 3 years, beginning September 7th. It can't be September 7th. Well, maybe so. September 7th, Career Source, it may be retroactive. And administration, they're all aware of this request.
So moved.
All right, motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Mr. Morone, do you know who she'll be replacing?
I think it's vacant at the
Okay.
moment, yeah, because Career Source told me that their board, they need to fill. It's a vacancy
Okay.
that they need filled as soon as possible.
That's fine.
They didn't talk to her, she won?
Yes, yes. This has been a conversation. I'm not sure that seat Miss Betty Kroom might have sat.
It might have been, yeah, in the
think so.
past. I
Yes,
think
I
it
think
was.
this was Betty Kroom's seat, Mr. Chairman, now that you asked me that question.
Yep, okay. All right, any more discussion before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous.
We're down to I, Commissioners. At your last meeting, I informed you of the January 2022 start to the legislative session and the need to prepare for early submission of funding requests to both Senator Osley and Representative Schultz's offices. This year, I recommend that the board authorize Ms. Tracy Busby to assist with the submission of any funding requests this board might send. The only request I have for the board's consideration today is additional funding for the construction of the county's new EOC. If the board has any additional projects for discussion. I say that I know Congressman Neil Dunn had submit us 1.5 million for that. But Commissioners, I checked with Tracy, that's all tied up with what's going on in DC right now. I don't know how that's going to wash out. So I would like to ask our state legislatures for separate funding for the EOC construction and see where it goes. As I say that, they reached out to me for a couple of days at the end of the month for the legislative delegation here in the county, and so they're gonna get back to me. They asked me for if we had available days the last week of the month. I told them yes, but they haven't confirmed that yet. But I would like at least to be able to discuss that with the senator and the representative when they come here for the legislative delegation, that request for that money. And I earlier you guys referred to making sure when you do one good project, and that's why I'm asking for Tracy, Ms. Busby's assistant with doing it this year, because we'll need the best application we could get for funding for the EOC.
Well, you supposed to ask both of them. I mean, 'cause most of the time, both of them turn us down, but if one turn us down, we got shot at. We got hopeful for the,
Keep hope alive, yes, sir.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I hear you.
ain't nothing wrong with asking both of them.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
are they still wanting us to prioritize the two cities projects in the county project, and which ones is
I haven't heard back yet. I'd asked them that question. They said they acted like they didn't know that we didn't do it for the last couple of years. And I said, no, we didn't. And, you know, I just want to make sure I know ahead of time if that's on us or you're going to take it separately from the one from the county or whatever the county has and the two cities separately.
Well, my
So,
reason for inquiry is an EOC is for the benefit of the county as well as the
The city.
municipalities.
yes,
So, I mean, if you're gonna make a funding request for an EOC, it benefits everybody.
that's,
It don't benefit just the county, it don't benefit just the cities, it benefits everybody.
that'd be number one, no matter what. I hear
Well,
you.
I mean, and as you apply for funds for that, then that needs to be reiterated. That's why we're asking for this money, because it benefits everybody across the county. County as well as the municipalities. So you use that as a bargaining chip, you know what I'm saying?
Yep, yes, sir.
Because everybody benefits from it. Everybody benefits from the operation of the EOC.
That's right. And so, and Commissioner, well, I think it was you said this morning, you'd like to have one, when we ask for money, make it one strong application for one item. I believe.
Yeah, I use that term consistency and continuity, and we're all on the same page. I guess what I really want to, I know we've been through this before, is the location of the EOC. There's a huge outpouring of sentiment that EOC should be considered to be located up on 65 there, right next to the Sheriff's Department. The spirit of that being that it's centrally located in the county. It's on slab-on-grade, flat-type property there. Gives us access so much more to communications and so on. And I know that we have money set aside for planning, and I want to be sure that we really get this locked in about where, have we really given it consideration, serious consideration, where we're going to put this EOC permanently, and what the best strategy is. And there seems to be a huge sentiment that I'm hearing that it ought to be right back up there on Route 65 next to the Sheriff's Department on that property that the school board is considering giving us.
Well, I'll tell the board, I had started, based on your motion at the last meeting, I already started meeting with FAA and different people about where we're going to put it there and make sure it's right. Started talking to the engineer already. So again, like I said at the last meeting, I'm going with the motion and direction you guys gave me at the last meeting. So,
I realize, but this is.
I think that the motion that was made at the last meeting, I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to cut you off, Commissioner Bolt. Commissioner Ward actually made the motion, and the motion she made was based on Ms. Burnell, our emergency managing director, and what she had asked.
Yes, I remember. That
we proceed with where we're talking about putting it close to the airport. I understand that people want it up 65. I'm not opposed to that. Here's the thing though, 1.5 million, even 2.5 million, won't touch what you're gonna have to do if you locate it in a brand new place with no secondary facilities there for storage or anything else that we presently do have around the airport. You lose all that. Yeah, you might be moving it more centrally located, but you have to have more than just a 2,000 square foot building. That's not going to cut it. That's like trying to take your family of 10 and move them into a utility shed. It's not going to work. So it becomes a funding problem, because we're having problems getting funded with what we want, much less any excess of that. So that's the only thing that I see as problematic.
Yeah, and that's huge. I appreciate that clarification.
I tell you what is happening right there. One of them storms, when they made that disaster call, the governor came down, and the representative Lawson and all of them was back then. Well, they dropped that plane right out there. They ain't got no way to drop no plane up on 65. That governor dropped that plane right out there.
Up to the airport, yeah.
They went to East Front. That's when East Front was messed all up, when that water had backlogged in there.
Yeah.
They messed all the buildings up. And they came down, and that made the process for us getting help quicker by them being able to fly in here.
And so follow up on Commissioner's, on the Chairman's comments. Look how long it took us to get money for the sprinkler system at the Armory.
Yeah, I hear you.
We've been asking, you know? So funding is a big problem.
Yeah, I see that.
It really is. So, but.
Thank you.
But yeah, so all I need action today is for you guys to authorize that Tracy Busby could assist with the application.
So
Okay.
moved.
Okay.
We have a motion by Commissioner Ward,
I'll second that.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion?
Yeah, what's she doing?
She helped me with create the application.
What's she doing right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, moving to item J. Over the last few months, the board discussed scheduling several workshops after completing the budget process, with your final budget public hearing scheduled for this evening, 5:15 p.m. Is there a particular order to schedule these workshops? The three pending workshops for scheduling are the state's fire marshals, volunteer fire department staff coming here to discuss that procedure, well, not procedure, just give us advice on how to deal with our volunteer fire departments. That was one. The second one is the TDC board infrastructure projects. You guys wanted to meet with the TDC board, have a workshop to determine what projects should be priority, what we could do with TDC money. You wanted to have that big discussion. And the last one was having one with ARPC to discuss beach parking in an attempt not to run into what we did this summer. So they were going to help us with, in Chairman Jones's term, with this growth management problem. So I guess my question here to you, not I guess, my question is to the board, give me a pecking order that I could start to reach out to these agencies and say, hey, when are you available? So we know what order to put them in. I want to, basically by priority, you guys tell me, so I can start scheduling these workshops, hopefully get them done by, I can't promise by December, because everybody's schedule is different, but get them done by January. Which one is most important to the
So
board?
Michael, I would think that we need to talk to the State Fire Marshal's office and the Regional Planning Council and see what times work best for them.
Okay.
And if they have a delay in time, then we move forward with the TDC stuff, because they're all local people.
I hear you.
That
Okay.
way we're, you know, and if we can do it, then we talk to the State Fire Marshal first, and
Whichever comes first.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, between them and
Depending on
ARPC.
their availability.
Perfect.
Is what I think, but
Do we have
anyway.
to separate, I'm sorry, Chairman, I didn't mean to
Yeah,
cut you
you're
off.
good.
The APRC, they're having the code enforcement workshops as
Yes.
well. Can we
Yes.
incorporate the parking discussion with those workshops, or should we keep them separately?
But keep
No,
in
you
mind,
keep it
those
separate.
workshops, I was trying to keep you guys arm's length away from those workshops.
Those
They
are
would
public.
host those workshops
Yeah.
and have them and then report back to you.
Okay.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, that was my plan. That's the plan, that's the agreement we have with them.
Yes.
So,
That's
They're
right.
done deal.
yes, yes, sir.
I have to agree with the chairman. I think the fire marshal and the APRC should come first.
Cool.
I agree
TDC
too.
last.
All right, is that all you need?
Everybody else is good? Commissioner Parrish, Commissioner Lockyer, you guys are good with that order? Okay, cool. All right, that's what I don't think I was asking for. I just wanted direction with that. And yeah, I want me to touch on the information items, the traffic concerns that you brought up. I met with Benny at FDOT. I'll just summarize that. A couple of them have worked out already, but everything has been sent to traffic ops for the most part, especially where you guys wanted speed limit changes. You wanted changes to where people can no passing in passing zones. All that is at traffic ops, okay? So, and the Brewfest, they moved it, they had to move it. I just kind of wanted to say publicly, they moved it, but keep in mind, that's a major fundraiser for the Franklin County Humane Society. And so if anybody has a pocket full of money they want to donate, me first, then the playing Humane Society needs some money. So, yeah. And that's it for my report, Commissioner.
Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Morone while we're at this point in the meeting?
5:15 this afternoon, everybody.
Here we go. Thank you, Mr. Morone.
Okay.
Mr. Schuler?
One
County
action
Attorney?
item for the board's consideration is a request for board authorization to send a letter to the property owner at 974 Teresa Avenue, East Point. It's been brought to my attention there is an apparent zoning code violation there from the use of the property. At this point, I'm not sure if the correct term would be use of the property as a group home or a recovery residence, which sometimes people refer to that as a halfway house. Don't really know at this point, but there is an apparent zoning code violation that needs to be investigated and abated without any formal action, such as going to court. If it does exist and it cannot be voluntarily abated, then I will come back to this board for further direction. At this point, I just want authorization to send the letter, determine whether there is or is not a zoning code violation, and if there is one, to ask them to voluntarily abate that zoning code violation.
So move.
We have a motion to approve that letter being sent by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, where is Teresa Avenue at?
If you go just a little bit north of the intersection of Highway 65 and 98 in East Point,
Yes,
you've got
I've had a lot
Wallandia
of-
on the left, and then
I've had a lot of telephone calls about this before it was even turned into a group home. People don't want it there. They're trying to raise children and everything else, and these people, way I understand, are being brought from surrounding states, communities, and put into this neighborhood, and the people that live there and are raising kids there don't want it there. If it's not a court-ordered stay that they go into this group home, then there's nobody keeping them there. So they go in there one night and eat a good meal and say, you know, I don't want to be here. They walk out. Where are they at? In this community. No way to go, no cars, no nothing. They just walk out. Where are they going? In this community. And, you know, and this ain't the first time that this has been brought to my attention. The last time it was going to be up 65, past Cassius Creek Bridge on the right. And I won't name the names of the family-owned property there and all. People don't want this kind of stuff in their neighborhoods. And they're not even people from our community. They're coming from all over the state of Florida and Alabama. So I'm told, so I understand. I can't verify all that, but I mean, they don't want this type of stuff in a family neighborhood. So, I mean, yeah, we need to do something about this, but, it shouldn't be happening to start with. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there because I've received so many phone calls and inquiries about the county stopping them from doing this in these residential neighborhoods.
Okay.
And I'll leave it there.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes.
just a clarification, Commissioner Ward, your motion includes more than just sending a letter, because I'm sure there's going to have to be some telephone calls or meetings or something like that, in addition to maybe one or more letters. I just want to make sure we get on the record and that your motion encompasses more than just sending a letter, but no enforcement action, formally speaking, in terms of going to court, would happen without coming back to this board for further direction.
Yes, I was on.
Yep, give me just a second. What was you saying? I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I understand that that is the request that you made here, and I include that in my motion.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, go ahead, sir.
How they get permission to open up these?
They didn't.
They
That's
did,
the
they
problem.
just done it.
Yeah, I don't think they did
So-
give them permission. I don't think they did get permission.
So-
They legal from the town, right?
That's, we're gonna find out. So if it's the same, the same group or same person, had approached me a couple times about different locations, and I said, nope, you cannot go there, nope, you can't do that there, it's against our zoning laws. So if it's the same person, I hate to say this, but it might be where they're asking for forgiveness rather than permission, to be very honest with this board. If it's the same group, the same person about the house. Because he's been told no before by myself, by Mark, by Courtney, you know, so
By
if
me.
it's the same, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, well, see.
I've had multiple dealings, multiple different areas, and without going into too much further detail, I emphasize the same, so.
They asked me, Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
one of them called me and asked us, why don't they put it on St. George Island? Because them people ain't gonna put up with it. But they gonna bring it to East Point and put it in my neighborhood, where I'm trying to raise children. But yeah, I've heard from quite a few of them, and they're very disappointed, and as you said, they don't come to ask for a permit or zoning change, they just do it and come and ask for forgiveness. I mean, I'm just telling you what people are telling me, they are very upset about it.
So we do have a motion on the floor. Are y'all procedurally ready to vote?
No, that'll be the same thing. They can't do it. I mean, we need to shut that down today.
Commissioner Lockley, I hate to say this, but there are a lot of people in our county that think that they can do what they want to and just dare us to do anything about it, to be honest with you.
Well, they can't.
That's why we need code enforcement.
We need to shut it down, and, hey, that's what we got law for.
Yes, sir.
They're breaking the law.
All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, I have no other action items on my report.
Okay, up next are
I
commissioners'
do.
comments.
Let me, just one more thing for Attorney Schuler, if I
Yes,
might.
okay,
Yes,
go
sir.
ahead.
Can we consider crafting a contract between all volunteer fire departments in Franklin County on the standards for the use of MSBU funds relative to fire protection? And we look at a rough draft of what that would look like.
I'm sorry, Mike.
What are
If
you
I
thinking,
may,
Mike?
Commissioner, can we wait until we
You wanna wait?
actually have that workshop?
Have that workshop to do, I thought we would get ahead of it, but go ahead.
Yeah, I would tell you to ask them. I mean, you and I can ask them ahead of time.
Okay, all right.
Before, give you a couple rough drafts so you can have an open discussion about it. Then you'll know what
All
kind
right.
of agreement you want to have. That's a
Okay.
good deal, Commissioner.
Okay.
But I would just ask you to wait until then, and we have a really good agreement drawn up.
Okay,
You know,
that'd be
that would
good.
apply to all your volunteer fire departments.
That's what I mean.
You know,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so up next are commissioners' comments.
Before you guys comment,
Oh.
remind 5:15 this afternoon. This is for the public. It's it's the final public budget hearing. If I said that in the wrong order, know that the public does not need speaker cards. It's a public hearing. It's designed for them to speak this evening. And it will not be live streamed, but it will be on Zoom, and they can come in here in the room. It starts at 5:15.
Okay.
Okay? I just want to get that out there, sir.
All right, commissioners' comments?
Yeah, I got one.
All
You
right.
know, that thing we just got, okay. people have good intention. And they go in there and talk about they gonna open up this house and open up that house for this kind of people. Yeah, the person who doing that might have good intention. But the people they bring in might not have good intention. And you start bringing in people in your community, and somebody coming here get hurt, or killed, hurt, or whatever, no permission, and stuff like that. And when it falls back, it always falls back on what? The county commission. That's what they gonna say, county commissioners allowed it. I didn't vote to allow that. I don't think nobody up here voted to allow it. And we should do something about it to stop it. And I don't care what kind of intention they got, they still got to go through due process to get things done. And they didn't do it. They might help a whole lot of people. I hope they do help. But you still got due process.
Any other commissioner comments? All right, meeting adjourned.
Recording stopped.